bring this meeting of the Washington County Board of Education together. Thank you all for coming. Nice to see you. After a moment of silence, I'd like for Mr. McLean to lead us in the pledge of the flag.
Everyone would please stand. We will honor America. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and please be seated.
Under the continuous provision of the state executive order to protect the safety and welfare of the public, the Washington County Board of Education meeting today is closed to the public in order to maintain transparency. The meeting is live streamed and an audio recording will be provided as requested. The live stream link can be found on the website www.cwcde.org. Before I call the meeting to order, I am going to take attendance. I'm sorry, I messed up. This is my last show anyway. Annette Buchanan.
Present.
Todd Gaines.
Here.
Chad Fleener.
Here.
Jason Day. Yes. Mary Beth Dillinger.
Here.
Mitch Meredith.
Here.
David Hammonds.
Yes.
Philip McLean.
Present.
Thank you. I need a motion to consider the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond? Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
And Mr. Irvin?
I have this on my screen twice, the consent agenda. Is that, am I looking at this wrong? The meeting agenda?
Not consider agenda
Consideration?
of the meeting agenda.
I can't get it to do nothing now. I need a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the meeting agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond? Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Washington County Schools opened on August the 3rd, an opening day that I can say without fear of contradiction that it was unlike any other in our 137-year history. To begin with, today's average rate of infection per 100,000 residents is 32.91, and that is 3 times the rate allowable for physical opening under our approved reopening plan. The 4-day average for new cases was 49. As of this afternoon, we have 34 employees and our students either in isolation because they have tested positive or are under quarantine because they have been exposed. This affects 9 schools. Our coordinated school health department, under the supervision of Kelly Wagner, is advising those that are affected, keeping records of our exposures and infections, and working with the regional health office to coordinate the school system's response and ongoing operation. Since the public announcement was made that we would begin our school year in a virtual format, the various schools have been loaning Chromebooks to students. As of today, we have issued some 4,048 to students in all grades and at all schools. The demand was greater than expected, apparently because it was generally believed that students could interact with their teachers only by using a school system device, and this is not the case. People can use their own computers, their own laptops and desktop computers at home. But if someone still wants a Chromebook, we'll certainly provide it. We have been able to meet demand so far. We do have hundreds of Chromebooks on back order because the United States Department of State has placed multiple Chinese technology manufacturing companies under sanction for human rights violations. We think we will receive a shipment later this month, but have no guarantee of that. I know of 2 school systems in Tennessee. Cleveland City has 2,900 that they don't think they'll get till December. Union City has 900 in the warehouse in Atlanta that cannot be released because of the government's actions. Teachers began interaction with students several days ago and continued in earnest yesterday. We've made virtual contact with the majority of students. That number is still in evolution. I'll try to get you a good number, solid number Friday in our weekly report. We do know that we have some students that have homeschooled. This is interesting. As of today, we have 113 registered homeschool students. That's less than last year at the same time. Now, last year we had a grand total of 755 homeschool registered students. That's pretty typical for Washington County. But we are not seeing the students leaving like we had anticipated. Plus, we have as many as 100 students waiting to enroll in our high schools that are coming from other school systems, and frankly, board members, I can't tell you why. We think we may have 50 going to Boone and Crockett from Science Hill. And we'll just have to keep investigating and asking and trying to figure out why. I can tell you that our continuous learning plan was approved yesterday. I wish I could take credit for it. Actually, all I did was sign it. The people that had the most to do with it are in this room right now. Dr. Ashley Keys, Dr. Mindy Myers, Cindy Hayes, and Crystal Finker over here. And now that I've mentioned their names, I'd like for them to tell you and show you just a little bit of what our teachers have been doing with students over the past day and a half. Ladies, if you will.
Okay, so in BOE Connect, we're going to see a PowerPoint that we put together for you. We're not going through that entire thing, but we wanted you to have access to all of the resources. So if you want to go in and look at the hospital reopening plan with all of the instructional delivery, there's step-by-step guidance, you have access to that. The hospital plan is about 28 pages, and then it links to other documents that are lengthy. So I'm not going over all of that, and we'll be here all night. But we want to talk to you about all of the planning that went into August 3rd reopening, where we are today, and what we plan to do moving forward. So on the second slide, I'm just kind of put an agenda of what all's in here for you with links to the slides in the PowerPoint in case you want to look at certain things. We're going to talk to you about the planning and professional development information. I've included all of the continuous learning plan documents that we sent to the Tennessee Department of Ed. They were very thorough to make sure that we had planned everything out. We're going to present on where we are today. We've provided you with digital classroom examples, just samples, and then special education resources. So on the next slide, the next one, we have a timeline of all the planning that went into this. So if you all remember back before COVID, we had plans at our high school to be 1-to-1 this year. That was the plan from the beginning. We have Warren Lewis as that student technology support specialist, training our teachers and working with students so that they were able to use Canvas and blended learning effectively. That started in January. He was training during planning periods, meeting one-on-one with teachers on using Canvas and digital resources. We were very blessed that we did that because we had no idea COVID was right around the corner when we made those decisions. Without that, we would not be in a good place in our hospitals right now. But because of that, we're in a good place. So that happened January through March. Up until early March, Dr. Flannery met with us. He said this COVID thing is serious. I think our governor might close us. Carla Kai and I met and talked about contingency plans for school closure, what we needed to do step by step for our teachers. And then I met with my high school principals in Warren, and 3 days later, our schools were closed. So we really did not even have a week turnaround. And they were just closed, and we had to take our draft document, publish that thing, and support our teachers moving forward. But we were able to do that. March the 27th, Carol Bergner, our technology specialist, she was already doing Google Classroom trainings, Google Meet trainings, Canvas trainings, starting March the 27th. Warren was doing Canvas trainings April through May, Google Meet, answering all kinds of questions for students, parents, and our teachers, April through July. Carol had 29 sessions. I think Carol's on this meeting to answer any questions. Elliot, is she here?
Yes,
Okay, she's here to talk about any of the training if you want to know about that. She had 29 sessions, April through July. 80% of our teachers participated in 2 or more of those trainings, of all of our teachers. The next slide.
So, last, I guess around May or so, it could have been a little bit earlier, they started talking about the CARES Act money and that we would be getting money. And I was kind of thinking, oh, that's real nice of them. We're not, we'll be back to school, no big deal. We also started getting IDA grant opportunities and started writing those grants really in my head to prepare for virtual learning, but kind of also in my head thinking, not gonna need it, we'll be back to school. But very glad we did. So when the money actually became available to us, and you all have seen our plan for that, we started meeting as a district team to talk about how we're gonna spend those funds. And as you all know, a large bulk of those funds were to put one-on-one devices in the hands of our students. So when that conversation started going, I realized kind of the direction and the planning that I needed to be going with the special education plans. Just to let y'all know, for IDA funds that we've received grants for, we are able to get some hot spots for some kids and also some online social emotional training, not training, but curriculum for students as well. And so when that planning started occurring of how we're going to use those funds and how we're going to address our online needs with those funds, we started meeting as a district team very often to talk about our path moving forward. The core office, who is a state level supporter of ours, met with us and helped us and kind of reviewed our plans, and we were able to bounce our thoughts off of them as well.
So about June, right really at the end of May, when school officially ended, the principals got an invitation from TDOE and the University of Tennessee about some series, principal leadership series, that they were going to conduct over the summer. It's about 8 sessions. All of our principals were in attendance. And these series were presented to us by experts in their field. It was everything from how to get your building ready, how to address the social and emotional needs of your teachers as well as your students, instructional strategies to use within the remote learning, and just many other things. And there is a document that you can see later on in the PowerPoint that you can click and hyperlink to all the stuff that we learned from them and the resources that they gave us. And what was exciting about this is I came on board, even though my official first date wasn't until July 1st, I came on board June 1st. And principals started calling, and we started talking, was like, wow, this is awesome stuff. We need to get together as a district, as Washington County, and support each other in what we're learning through the state training. And it was their idea. It was on their own time. So we got together after every session, and we talked about what we had just learned, how can this apply to our district, and we came up with plans, and we started immediately assessing our own buildings at that time. If we had to go remote learning today, what are our needs? What are our teachers' needs? So it was assessing ourselves. Me being a principal at that time, I was involved with that, and then continued that in a different leadership role. So we brought that to the district. This is when we talked to the district team and kind of shared with them our needs for the building, our needs for our teachers. And it was kind of unique because I got to play on the other end too, so that was a unique experience. So with that, in June and July, we formed district level leadership teams that consisted of different stakeholders, from new teachers to veteran teachers to representations of all the different teachers in the building and different programs. And we started sharing what we had learned, what were our concerns and needs, and that's when we started developing, like Ashley mentioned, multiple documents for the leadership in the schools, providing them with suggestions and guidelines when they came back to school to help support their team at their individual school.
In June and July, Dr. Flannery also held principals meetings to stay in constant communication with principals. And then the last week of July, our teachers came back for their in-service. And so here we are today. So on the instructional timeline, just to give you an idea of what's going to happen.
So, once we realized the direction that we're going, everybody in this room realizes this is a huge shift for everybody. It's a huge shift for our teachers, it's a huge shift for our kids and our families, and it's a huge shift for us all. So, we realize what that means and the anxiety and the fear that any type of change brings about. So, in meeting with teachers and explaining the directions, our message has been consistent. This is a slow rollout with grace for your peers, grace for yourself, and grace for your families, because by no means do we expect this to be perfect. We may not get it where we want it in the first 30 days of this, and we don't know how long this is going to last, but this is a time that we are really being slow with our implementation and really our expectation of what's going on. So week one, for all of you who have been in the classroom, you know that the first week of school is really about relationship building, no matter what. And that's the same with this virtual platform. We've told our teachers, take this week to do Google Meets and to get to know your families, to reach out. Special ed teachers are very familiar with Google Meets because we've been doing IEP meetings through Google Meet since March. So special ed teachers are good with that. They're reaching out to families. This week is just about becoming familiar with some platforms. Next week, we have said, start slowly. Practice recording yourself, practice live streaming. Don't put the pressure on yourself of trying to do that with a lesson. Take a good, fun activity and record yourself. You don't have to post it if you don't like it. Let's just kind of practice with this while we're still doing things to serve kids and instruct kids. Let's not put pressure on ourselves for week 2 to be right. And during week 2, we also understand that teachers will be able to identify where their weaknesses are so that we can come in and do individualized supports for them. And then the third week, the week of the 17th, that's when we're looking to go, more with it, take our plan and roll with it. And still, if you're at week 3 and you're not comfortable with it, we have plans in place to support teachers. So it's not something that they have to feel real strongly about right now. I know that they don't. I don't feel real strongly about it, but we will get there. We have the supports in place for folks.
It says up there the individualized virtual support plan. We're excited to kind of start a new support plan in Washington County. It started last week, and I had asked principals to identify 1 or 2 teachers in their building. Those effective teachers that, we don't want to lose because they feel lost with the technology aspect. We don't want to lose any of them. So those are the ones, we got to reach out to them. So the coaches and myself, we all assigned ourselves to one of those teachers that the principal had suggested, and it was in a stress-free environment. It's not a judgmental or anything. We're actually saying, we understand, we've been there. And like with mine, I said, I'm going to show you how to plan a Google Meet. We're there to support them with their first orientation. We're there if they get nervous. And it's 6 people that we're serving right now. And we're staying with them for 2 to 3 weeks until they feel comfortable. That just like we tell them to tell their students, it's that gradual release of responsibility. When they feel comfortable, we'll let them go on their own, and then we'll move to someone else within that school building. And then when that teacher feels comfortable, then you've got 2 teachers there that can kind of rely on each other because they know you were in the same boat I was. And I've been really excited to not only that part, but yesterday I had a meeting with principals at the end of the day to see how things went. And you know what their number 1 praise was? They were so excited to see teachers, instructional assistants, everybody in the building collaborating together and leaning on each other and supporting each other during this transition. They say it was just, he says it's always there, but you just felt a sense just to stepped up a whole new level of support and understanding, lifting each other up. So they're trying and they're leaning on each other, and we don't want anyone out there to feel like that they're alone. And that's, our goal right now for that support.
And it's the same thing at the high school. Warren Lewis and I talked today, he was at Daniel Boone, and he said, I've never seen all these teachers together working like that. So they're in classrooms working together. Crystal was at Crockett today, and when she came back, she was like, they're networking. I've never seen them working together like that. So that is a positive that's coming out of this. They are collaborating, they're creating units together, they're helping one another, so that's important. On the next slide, not that one. I think we skipped ahead, that's okay. So, on the next slide, Elliot, I'll go ahead and talk about this. These are all the different planning teams we had this summer. I do want to speak to the Supervisor Regional Collaborative. We're not the only county that's like, this is new, we're rolling this out slowly. Every county is. Every county in our first region is doing this, and we met bi-weekly with all the other instructional supervisors and said, what are you doing and how are you doing it? Oh, I like that, I want to steal that. Hey, Washington County, you're ahead on Canvas, and we are compared to all these other places. Do you care to talk about that today? And we did that. And Johnson City Schools, both of us are really leading that with Canvas. So we're in a good place there. Wanted to touch on that. So we've been in constant communication with other districts. We're not doing this alone. The next slide shows everything that Carol did, and Carol's on here to talk about it if you have any questions. Every Friday she has virtual support hours. Like we said, 80% of our teachers participated in that. Do you all have any questions for Carol on her virtual trainings?
Well, I got one question, and it might not be with what she's doing, but the flash drives, how are we on them? I mean, I know I've got parents that's complaining that they don't have internet, what do we do? But
I've got that a little bit later, Keith, but
Okay.
we
Go ahead.
received all of our flash drives. We have 1,000 that came in, and they're going out to schools. I know at my high schools they have 100 each, and they're meeting with parents to create individualized remote learning plans so that we're working with their families to do what they need. And so they're setting those expectations together, and they're creating those plans to support our families that do not have internet. I know that some families, they cannot get internet at their location. It's not that, they just don't want it. It's that it's not in that area. So we are working through that together. Mitch?
Yeah, actually, I would like to hear Carol just kind of give us an overview of what the virtual training consisted of and what she was doing. And you said 80% of the teachers
In
participated?
2 classes. In 2 of her sessions over March through July.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that was on their own. They signed up for those classes. We
Right.
didn't push them or assign them or say, you have to do this. They
Okay.
signed up for them because they knew that they needed that training.
Right. So, but I would like to hear what she's got to say. But so what do we do with the other 20%?
Some of them are high school teachers that were working with Warren Lewis with Canvas, and they feel confident on what they're doing on their own. Like,
Okay.
we have several teachers that they could be leading this work now.
And I think that is the 20% that you're talking about, because the high school, they started a year or even 2 years ahead of KA, being on that one-on-one, and they're almost the experts. So this was probably really new to a lot of the KA teachers. So the high percentage of that 80% was your KA.
Okay.
Our high school academic teachers have been working, especially math and English, in Canvas for over 8 years. So they are very comfortable inside of Canvas. Now, Canvas has changed over 8 years, just like any technology does, and adapted to our needs. And so there are always new things you can learn. It's constantly changing. But a lot of our academic teachers are very comfortable inside of Canvas. They have Chromebook carts in their classrooms. They would do all their benchmarking through Canvas. They were prepared for that. Now, remote learning is a little different than using it inside your classroom.
Right. Well, tell us a little bit about it, Carol.
Okay, so I started as soon as the shutdown. Well, I'm always teaching classes, but I went online when I went home when everybody else went home. And so I started doing online training and using Google Meet. And in March, I had like 50 some people in one of my sessions, and I think that one was learning Google Meet. And then by the end of the summer, they were really getting into Google Classroom. So Google Classroom is like Canvas, but we're using it in K to 8, K to 7. And so those were other big classes I had. At the very end, the most I ever had 55 in one session. And that's amazing because our lab doesn't even hold 55 people. So it's really cool to do this remotely, and you can just stuff the rooms, the virtual room full, and train 55 people just about as easily as you train 10. And so I think the one on Loom is a software we're using to record lessons and record, you can record anything your screen is doing with your voice. And so that one's been very popular as well. And so that's basically, I said, what else do you want to know? They said, we just want to hear that over and over. So we kept doing Google Classroom and kept doing Loom and kept doing Meet until they felt comfortable with it. I had people that came to the same class 3 or 4 times just to hear it over and over and over.
So your training really consisted of how to use the platform. I guess one of the things I'm kind of interested about is training. Is somebody referred to it a minute ago about when the teacher prepares the lesson, the videoing of themselves, the presentation. How do you translate what would normally be a classroom presentation where you can go over and stand over Johnny's shoulder or whatever? How do you all, what did y'all do to train our teachers to be able to deliver that virtually?
And it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve for all of us, just like it's a learning curve for us to do this virtual. You were doing it completely virtual. But right now, at the beginning, we provided them with multiple resources, instructional strategy guidelines, even a scheduling guideline. What would your day look like if you went to your classroom, which they're doing now, and you had to be there for the entire school hours? What would that look like? You had to put it on paper. And it would give examples such as, your math block. You would have a virtual meeting for 10-15 minutes at the most. Say hello, maybe explain the math lesson, and give them an assignment or an activity to do. And then you would break, and the students would do this on their own. And then and it's a different curve, and it's a different schedule, because we're not going to sit and talk to those kids 6.5 hours a day through a laptop. Their attention span isn't that long, the teachers is. But we did provide them with the resources. But now, our next step, what we both have done, is actually created a great survey, and we both just sent it out this week. After this first week, what support do you need now? You've had the technology training. A lot of you get comfortable with Google Meets, Google Classroom, and what I'm seeing is exactly what you're asking. They want additional support for instructional strategies to conduct those meetings. So now we dove into it, we're seeing what their needs are, and now we can plan our next professional development and that one-on-one support.
And Mitch, for the high school, I created inside that high school reopening procedure document that's 28 pages. There's an instructional delivery section, and there's also responsibilities for instructors in each of those environments, for full, staggered, and remote. And then if you click on, let's say, the remote one, it's got all these different steps and expectations for what do I do before school starts? What do I do week 1? What should my lessons look like? We've created templates inside of Canvas. I released those to all my teachers back a few days before they came back. I called it Unit 0, Welcome and Icebreaker. All they had to do was go in and put their information in it, change the icebreaker activity to meet their needs, and it's done so that they could focus on other things. We have templates for their instruction in Canvas. It builds through like modules. It flows very well. It meshes well with the instruction that you would see in a classroom. But like I said, they were already using it for blended learning. Now they have to think, how am I going to deliver direct instruction through this platform? Mary Beth?
I just wondered if it would be possible through some of that money, the CARES Act, or some of that, to hire more tech people to work in the schools. If that's something that we could consider, if this is going to go on longer. I think Carol does a great job, and everyone else, but if we had more support for people in the schools, I think it would be, teachers would feel more comfortable.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised how far 1.3 million doesn't go.
Well, all right,
Because when we use most of that money to go one-to-one technology.
right,
Which nothing can replace him.
right, that's true.
So when the teacher gives the lesson to the student, and they go offline, so that student sits there and does its work, does it email its lesson back to the teacher? Is that how that works? And she grades it? I mean, how, is that what it's gonna do, or is that how we're gonna do it, or?
It's similar to that. Inside of Canvas, it's kind of like a website. When you log on, let's say you're gonna go buy something, Keith, online, and you put it in your shopping cart. And everything's virtual, and so you go online to take your quiz, and it's multiple choice, and you click down through there, and it automatically sends it in. Canvas grades it for you if it's multiple choice. There are essays on there where they can go through. In Google Classroom, it
So does
grades
Google
it for you.
Classroom.
And so it takes that burden off of going through and grading paper tests, which is nice. It also will do the analytics for you, which just means how many kids picked A and got it right. How many kids picked B and got it wrong, and then the teacher can say, well, why did they pick B? Why did that happen? And it does it like that for them. So that's a positive side to the technology. But yes, it submits it automatically. The students who do not have internet access, they're putting that stuff on that USB drive they'll take back to school, and the teacher will have to go through and grade that. But all of the ones, and you'll be shocked, I've got numbers for you. 95% of my high school students were online today working. 95%. Over 100 and some thousand page views at each high school. Over 2,000 assignments submitted today at each high school. So almost 5,000 assignments total. That matches attendance when we're face to face, 95% attendance rate. Yeah, it's better.
And
And they're on there and they're working.
all those assignments are graded by Canvas?
Some of them, if it's multiple choice. If it's short
If it's
answer, the
multiple-
teacher has to
right,
go in
right,
there. If
okay.
they have to upload something,
Yeah.
the teacher has to go in and check it.
Check
An
it,
essay, you've got to check it. But multiple choice, yes, it'll do it for you.
Awesome.
Which
That's
is
pretty,
nice.
that's pretty awesome.
Discussion boards too, they're really interesting because the kids can collaborate.
Yeah.
They can't see each other's answers before.
Well, I-
Crystal
I'm
just-
sorry, I didn't hear.
Crystal just spoke to the discussion boards, which are really cool inside of Canvas, which I can show you. I've got lots of screenshots for you later in this presentation. Students can talk back and forth, the teacher can pose a question. Like right now, some of the teachers, how did COVID affect you? And the kids are talking about it back and forth through a discussion board to get to know each other. They can post videos of themselves talking about things. Teachers are posting videos of introducing themselves. I have one teacher, and I've got it on there in a little bit. She went out to her barn and introduced her students to her animals, and she says, this is who I am. And so it's opened it up where you can get to know each other in a different way.
Here's, Mr. Mayor, let me talk to you just a little bit about how special education is going to work, and just know.
I was gonna get there. I was
You wanna go
I
ahead?
was gonna get there.
I'm good for either one. You want-
Okay.
And just know that anytime I talk about special education, there is always an exception. I mean, we have a plan, and then we have another plan, and then we have another plan, and that's just the nature of what we do. But the large majority of our students receive intervention services, which means they're in the regular classroom, they'll stay in the regular Google Classroom, and they'll be pulled out for intervention services. Our teachers are really good, our special ed teachers, and they are very well trained in using research-based effective interventions that move kids. So the biggest thing that we wanted to do is make sure that they are able to continue that instruction because we know it works. So what we have done for that group of kids is the teacher is going to live stream that intervention at the same time the kid would get that intervention. And our materials are a little bit different, and we're talking in 45-minute blocks right now. Whole different world than what these ladies are doing. The teacher has a lot of manipulatives. A lot of our things are hands-on because that's how our kids learn best. So we're sending materials home for kids so they'll have what they need. So the teacher will be doing her intervention, live streaming. If the kid can't be on live stream, then we're recording and posting it just like Gen Ed, and we will not do a lot of discussion boards just to maintain our kids' confidentiality. But we will be doing individual Google Meets to give feedback. So what we have developed is a plan that really our teachers are doing the same thing as they would be doing no matter what learning environment we're in. It's just the added component of the computer. So that's where we are. For our CDC population, our kids who need more intense support, those are different. We're meeting with every family to develop what's called a contingency plan to say, we know that when we're in school, these are the things we're working on. Your IEP is working, but when you're at home, we can't work on all of that. It's not realistic to do 6.5 hours a day. But what do we need to prioritize and how? So we're working with families right now. We've been in, I would say, we've had 20 meetings today, special ed district staff on every one of those calls to help teachers kind of navigate what that needs to look like. And it's different for everybody. So that's where we are, special ed wise.
And to answer one of your questions, our instructional coaches, the district level instructional coaches, their role has changed tremendously, just like our instructional assistants' roles have changed within the school. And one of those is to offer building level tech support, because they're very strong with that. And matter of fact, one of them right now is pretty much taking over one of the teacher's class until this teacher feels really comfortable with what's going on. She's sitting there and just letting this teacher observe and stuff. So they are getting that as much the resources that we have. And in the K-8 world, just like in a classroom, the assessing comes in many different ways. That teacher will have small group meetings instead of just a large group meeting, and they just talk about the assignments or let them hold something up, or talk to the parent, because we're trying to increase family engagement a little bit, because we do need the parent support, especially with the K-2 world. So they're seeing if we can get that support from them. And also, like she said, we're doing individualized plans for families that really struggle with even trying to get on a recorded session, and how can we help them. And right now, the survey that I took, that's about 8 to 12% of our families in the K-8 world, which is also that same percentage that matches with the chronic absenteeism rate. So it makes me wonder if it's probably that same group with those same needs, but we're still going to address it.
I got, this might be for Brad or Mr. Flannery. School started, we are officially going to school. Funding. First 45 days of school, that's when we pretty much know what we're going to get BEP, right?
There is no unimportant period of the school year. I mean, our goal is to have every student in class every day unless they're sick.
Right. I agree.
But yeah, first 45 days isn't important.
Yeah, all right. How's that working? How's that? How is the state going to?
We're gonna take a hit,
We're taking attendance, aren't we?
but so is everybody else. So there's one pie that everybody eats from.
I mean, right now, we're at 95% online, okay?
But here's how attendance works. Every day we start, we come in and student testing. There's a code called DL. It's for distance learning. Every kid's present. At the end of a given week, teacher looks at the scope and body, the quality of the work that every student did. Said, you know what? Keith Urban did real good this week, did everything I asked for. I'm gonna let him be present 5 days this week. And you know what? I looked at Bill Flannery, he didn't even log in, didn't even clock in 3 days this week. I'm gonna count him present 2 days. And that teacher sends a note to the attendance clerk at the school, and the attendance clerk alters the attendance for that week, and then we go to the next one. That's the least amount of work we can come up with on teachers. It's fair. But yeah, we're gonna take a hit, but then everybody else is too.
Well, I just,
Yeah,
I didn't know how it was gonna work.
and it's a work in progress. We're kind of making.
I can't see how they can keep up with it.
Who?
I mean, I just can't see.
I mean, at the end of the day, all this data goes down through the EIS, our enrollment system, to Nashville. It's almost like the disease doesn't exist. They don't care. It's whatever attendance we say it is, that's what we get funded for.
Keith, we have to do an attendance survey every day. We have to put in,
So online, when, at 8 o'clock in the, yeah,
8:30.
Talk about that.
Keep for special ed, I'll talk about special ed. So we have to keep track of the services we're providing kids because, if we have gone a long time without providing services, we have to make them up. So we've got to be real, we have to have a good plan in place. So what we're doing is, I mean, if you're logged in, I can see, not a problem, there. And this goes for our CDC and our intervention. But if you can't log in for some reason, you can go online that night and watch it and submit, just like your name or whatever the teacher has for evidence of learning. Because, I mean, we still have to collect evidence that they are learning.
well,
So-
that's that 12% that's not logging in or not doing nothing.
And when those kids aren't showing up, that's a good opportunity for our teachers to call and say, how can we help you? What do you need?
What do you need?
Is
And
it,
there's multiple ways for the attendance. We would love for them to be able to, sign in virtually just to check on, kind of a wellness check too. But they have been instructed, if for whatever reason, that the parent might work a second or night shift, that a parent can email or even call the school. And it can be any time during that day. They can call school and say, hey, we've got our assignments, just wanted to let you know. And that's all. And, or even send an email. We've got the assignments, we just can't log in or watch the videos, but just letting you know that we're aware. So there's multiple ways that we're checking in.
So they'll eventually get it. Get it.
I'm an example. I haven't submitted Madison's attendance verification because I've been here. And I have to sit down with Madison because it does a check. How's she feeling today? And it's important because if you have a kid who's lonely, isolated, and wants to talk to somebody, we need to know that. In my classroom, I can tell that Billy Bob over here isn't himself because he puts his head down and he's not working. Can you tell that in a remote environment that child needs support? So we're trying to reach out. And then if Billy Bob doesn't do his attendance verification, which is really his wellness check for the day, then as a teacher or an instructional assistant or someone in the building, the attendance principal, is going to call and be like, hey, Billy Bob, what's going on? Why haven't you done your attendance? We haven't marked him absent yet. We're trying to check on him. We're trying to touch base. Also, that 8 to 12% could be students who are going to another district. And they haven't technically withdrawn yet because it takes a little bit of turnaround time. We're still in the first week of school. We're on day 2. And so we're going to have kids who move over the summer, and we don't know yet. When we're face-to-face, we know quickly. Why? Because the other students in the class tell me, Billy Bob moved over the summer, Dr. Keys. He's not going to be here. We don't have that information this time. So we're having to learn it in a different way.
We got a handful of them coming just this week. We're following up on those. Tennessee still has some postal accounts.
where are we, that's what I was gonna ask, we gotta kinda know where we're at.
Yeah,
Are we, I don't guess we showed any growth this year, did we?
looks like we're going through the high schools. But, we've got projected numbers going into the Ks this year and sitting here on day 2. I can't answer that question. We're just going to follow up with every kid that we have talked to.
Is the high schools growing because of large 8th grade classes?
We can't figure that out. No, we've got people from other school systems coming in and we get to determine why, so that's good.
Homeschoolers.
New students.
Some of
That's
them
all right,
are
we'll take it.
homeschoolers.
Well, yeah, we
To a certain
will.
extent.
But we sure would be nice to know why they're coming.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to investigate that.
I wanted to find out, as far as, I know Mayor Grandy has issued the mask mandate and facial covering. Is everybody in the schools practicing that same?
It's
I mean-
expected, but if they're in their classroom by themselves.
Well, yes, I understand that, but
I've seen like virtual meetings and I've been in the schools to deliver some stuff and to meet with Ms. Wright and Crockett. And I saw teachers in the hallways with their masks.
good, but we're not, okay. Yes, that's just the focus on. I just feel like in order to get our students back in, we've got to be practicing what we preach, and that's very important.
Do we have and if this ain't a good time, do we have any kind of plan on, what are you looking for in order to put kids back in school?
The reopening plan gives us some pretty definite metrics. Problem is, the metric isn't that good. It's based on nursing home data. And or data that was meant for nursing homes. And in the 7-8 weeks now since the board approved that, we've got better data. What we don't have are medical professionals at the state level, at the Tennessee Department of Health. They're saying, you need to put kids back in school, and superintendents are saying, okay, give us a measure, tell us how to do that safely, and they won't. I need a number. All of us need a number. Say, what is the cutoff? You know, when is it safe to put a 6-year-old back in school? That's what we're waiting on, putting a lot of pressure on
So
the
we're-
medical professionals to do that.
So basically, we're just waiting on somebody else to tell us we can. My concern
You're
is,
right, but I would also point out there's not a single physician employed by Washington County Schools.
my concern is all this stuff these ladies are doing are wonderful, but I don't see these kids getting what they're gonna get on Google Classroom versus in a classroom.
No argument, and I'll say that when we get back down toward that yellow zone, we're gonna start with the littles. These kindergartners, start letting them come back in like 4 or 5 at a time, and spend a whole day with the teacher just reading. And we're gonna go to the other end of the spectrum, kids, adults basically, that are taking welding, trying to get a welding certification. Let them come in 4 or 5 at a time, mask the whole bit, weld all day with the teachers. The nursing students, the electrical students, the CP kids are working for industry certification. Then we'll start talking about kids that are missing labs, like in physics and chemistry, where that's so critical to be ready for college. AP students, so we'll start at both ends of that spectrum and move toward the middle. And then hopefully, we'll get the virus back down, and we'll get kids back in school. If we get the yellow zone, the doctors say we look pretty good, then we'll go to that staggered schedule. We'll get every kid back in school, but on a 25% schedule. But, I wish I knew what that was going to be.
My concern is it can't be December, January, February when school's halfway over, and then,
I hope you're right.
these seniors are lost. I mean, this is, I think we need to figure out something a good plan of,
And that's based on how much risk are we willing to take.
I think that's what we need to decide.
But there's not a medical professional in this room, Chris.
I don't know if you saw and this made me think about our situation, because I'd love to get these younger kids in. I don't know if you heard about the camp, the YCMA camp that they did for grade school age in Georgia. They had a little over 500 to attend the camp, and this just happened, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and they were advertising how they were playing, they were social distancing, they had the mask and everything, and over 200 of those kids in that camp, it was like 280, came down with COVID immediately. And that's something to think about. So, that's larger than some of our schools. And some people might say, well, it's not affecting the kids as bad as adults. But I would hate to be that one parent that it took their life of their child. But that's a prime example of them getting just kids together, over 500, with a camp, which a lot of it was outdoors, that immediately they had over 280 some kids come down with COVID. And it's in Georgia. You can Google it, get more information.
Dr. Flannery, moving forward, and say we're sticking with this virtual, either 30 days or even go beyond that. If we have a child that we know is lacking, do we have a plan, or can we put a plan in place to we can bring that child into the classroom and the teacher can work with them one-on-one, or maybe 1 or 2 kids at a time, depending on, the situation? If maybe that teacher knows they've got to get some face-to-face, one-on-one time and get them up to speed.
It's not currently in the approved reopening. That's something that we've been thinking about for weeks.
Okay.
The further we go into this, the more we're going to fall between the cracks. I mean, everybody wants kids physically back in school. The question is, where is the line that says it's safe?
Well, who determines that? Or can you determine that as our director of schools, that, hey, I'm going to allow a certain number of kids in a school need be?
Yes, but again, I want to circle back to the fact I have no medical training
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I understand
I'm a
that.
teacher. And I'm listening to all of these physicians, these epidemiologists, and none of them will draw a line in the sand and say, this is where you can do it. And we're making this up as we go.
Sure.
I've got a couple of questions, but I don't want to stop your all's presentation. Are you all got more to go over?
We have a lot more that, yeah, go ahead and ask, Jeff.
No, let's go ahead, because you may answer them in some of your slides. but-
I wanted to ask, are we still basing that on the percentages that we see
Number of
every
new
day?
The average number of new cases over a 14-day period per 100,000 residents.
And that's what we're watching on TV.
That-
Right
we
now,
get
it's
better data right
33%.
now. We have additional data now. Now we can make, you can drill it down to zip codes within a county, not just a county. We now know the number of school-age children that are sick. We didn't know that back when the board had approved this plan. So we've got
Okay, so
better
they've
data.
refined it a little bit more and, yeah.
And it's, you can break it down a lot better, but we still don't have, the only thing we hear from the health department is kids need to be in school. But tell us how. Well, they won't.
Well, did we approve 0 to 5% for
Yes,
full,
ma'am. You know, the green, yellow, red plan.
6 to 10 staggered, and 11%
Yes, ma'am.
or more? And we're at 33% now.
We're triple the maximum. Yes, ma'am.
Is that?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Is that, I don't mean this, and bad, this will sound smart, but I'm not being smart. Is there plenty of medical professionals at the health department?
Not always there.
So they're telling us we need to get kids back in school,
Well,
but we're waiting on a medical opinion to tell them to go back to school.
the regional health department is going to say what the state health department doesn't say. And, state health department's specialists, epidemiologists, all of this, and they're all.
And they say go.
Well, even the American Association of Pediatrics says you need to get kids back in school, so again, that's a way to do it.
First Lawyer, I think what I hear some health professionals say is that it's best for kids to be back in school. Well, we all know that. I mean, that's not overly helpful, but how can we do it in a way that keeps the teachers safe, keeps the kids safe, and some grandparents who are raising kids safe? I mean, there is a huge picture to this that, you know, we need the help of people who understand viruses to direct us, because the consequences are big. And the consequences are big either way. If we leave kids at home too long, we know that's not what's best. But
Well, 280 kids goes on a trip, or 500 kids goes on a trip, 280 of them turns them sick. All right, now we've got mama, daddy, maybe grandma, grandpa, now they're sick.
I don't think that's a realistic example.
Well, I mean, they've been exposed. I'll say that. They've been exposed. Whether they're sick or not, I don't know. They've been exposed. All of us in this room may be exposed, you know.
And then part of the problem when you get exposed, let's say, and I hate to say it out loud, but someone in this room has COVID right now and starts showing symptoms 2 days from now, and then gets tested, and guess what, it's positive. All of us have to quarantine for 14 days. Now imagine you're an essential worker working at a grocery store. You're not gonna get paid, probably. Your family might miss work. It's gonna create an additional hardship. And so families that I've talked to that chose the remote learning contract, they are terrified. They don't want their kids to stay home because they need to send them to school because they need to work, but they're having to choose between work and their child's education. I mean, it's a very difficult decision for our families in this community. And nobody has the right answer because this is new.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at. I've heard people say they're going to have to quit their jobs to stay home with their kids because they can't go to school. That's going to create a little bit of an issue too, I'm afraid, for those families.
Hey, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I mean, that all sounds good, but going back to what somebody said a minute ago, it'd be really nice to see the rest of their presentation and what y'all are wanting to do. Because I saw Crystal sitting over there and I'm thinking, okay, so what are we doing CTE wise? So could we kind of get back to this?
All right, we'll get back to, go ahead and proceed your.
I thought it was all important, Mitch. I'm
It
sorry.
is,
Forgive me.
No, it is.
I'm one of the
Jason, I'm
ones that
not.
started it, so I'm sorry I asked the question.
We're in Lewis could not be here tonight to talk to you about what all he's doing because he's in an aspiring principal network. He was accepted through that Tennessee network to get his education for free, to be an assistant principal. He's in class right now, virtually. But he created this slide, and you should be able to see it in BOE, of everything he's been doing with training teachers. And it's a lot. So that is there for you. The next slide has our current professional development plans, and those are links. So you can go in and see what we have planned for our teachers to support them. And then those sessions on the side, we have sessions for virtual learning planned there. Mitch, the virtual learning strategy sessions, that's where you really dig into the meat. How do you motivate students? What do standards and objectives look like? How do you ask essential questions? How do you do grouping in a virtual environment? We have that planned, but first we wanted our teachers to get used to using the platform, and we're going to start next week with virtual learning strategy sessions.
And this will all be available to us on BOE Connect for, days or weeks or something?
Oh, this isn't going away. You have
Okay.
access to this now. Mindy, did you have anything you wanted to add about our current PD plan?
No, just that our focus has changed. We in Washington County, I think we're kind of known for offering lots of high-quality professional development. But this year, it's all toward virtual learning and remote. So we really, our focus is making sure that teachers are comfortable doing what we're asking them to do.
Can I ask a question?
Hurry.
Has anybody talked to the teachers that know that they're comfortable?
Okay, here we go,
Or we
next
just start
slide.
praying?
Okay, we sent out a survey. Mine is, ours is very specific. It asks Canvas questions like, can you post a quiz? Can you post an assignment? Can you log in? Can you do this? Can you do this? And based on that, I've created a spreadsheet. I have all their emails where we are doing mini sessions August 6th and August 7th with teacher leaders who are proficient in those things. These PDs might last 15 minutes. How to use your Canvas inbox to message your students. That will take like 10 minutes. So teachers have done a needs assessment. I have almost 150 responses right now from my high school, so that's all of them, so that I can create those individualized teacher learning plans for my teachers. Civi has the same thing for K-8. So we have already completed what we had set a goal of completing by August 10th. Today's day 2, and I have all that data, so that we can plan everything for the in-service days, the 6th and the 7th.
Can I ask?
Be quick, Jack.
Have you got the support technology to achieve what you're all needing to help build on your teachers? I mean, you feel comfortable with that?
I do now.
I do.
I do now.
And especially as well.
We're actually down 3 people in technology right now. Disease related.
Can those people still work remotely?
Yeah, they sure can. If they're under quarantine for exposure, they can. If they're just sick, their only requirement is to get better.
I have a question. I got a question from somebody out in the online audience. Wanted to know who's doing the presentations. Could you all come up center stage so you could be on camera? So these folks would know.
I have to put it in my mask if I do that.
So these folks know who this is coming from? Because I'm just totally impressed with the energy level and everything that you all are doing. And I say that very sincerely.
Thank you.
The next survey,
Oh, I like the way they put their masks.
I'll put mine on.
see, got my mask.
But you're coming closer, I'll put mine on
There you
too.
go. The next survey, we set a goal for August the 21st. That would allow us time to create these individualized teacher learning plans, work with our technology leaders. We've identified at the high school teacher leaders who normally are not teacher leaders, like as part of my leadership team, but they are proficient with Nearpod, with Canvas, to lead that work, and they're the ones that will be leading that work August 6th and August 7th. That way, the normal leadership team, they're not having to take on that burden too. So we are looking at new leaders in our departments. And Cindy has the same thing going on where she's identified those teachers.
With our, so you can hear me, with the survey feedback that I got, yes, a high percentage, as of just 3 days in the school, and, 2 days actually, feel very supportive by their school leadership and their district leadership, and they have been very great. Email me, because I also asked, email me where you need additional support. I had a list, and if it wasn't there, I put other. And it's neat to see them reaching out, and it's neat to feel the confidence that I feel in those emails, like, thank you for asking us, and we're both getting back, and they know, and they feel confident that we're going to support them in their needs. And one of them was the instructional strategy need, and one of them was just some troubleshooting with tech needs. And just like anything else, we don't know what they need until they dive into it and start. And then we know what they need, and they know what they can share with us. So we got some really good response from it, and it's still coming down.
How's this affecting with our interim teachers? Are they on board and following those things?
They're tech, yes, they're on board. They sure are. And right now, we're treating them just like a full-time staff teacher.
And at the high school, we have a couple that we are working on hiring. Yeah, and so that one, we're gonna be playing catch up a little bit, but we'll be able to create the individualized teacher learning plans and put them with a strong mentor. That's something else. I've been assigning mentors today. Been on the phone with teachers who said, hey, I really feel lost. On the phone with them, walking them through, getting their course completely ready, and then assigning them a mentor in the building to support. And so we are doing that as well. On the next slide, Carol created this remote learning support page. So if you go to our website, you'll see this under parents and students. We had planned to show a video, but for the sake of time, you can go in and look at them. But Carol has created instructional videos for parents and students on getting into Canvas, getting into Google Classroom, navigating them, and she is going to continue building on those to support families. The high school teachers, as part of Unit 0, that template I sent out, it has Canvas videos for students to watch on navigating Canvas. Because we're going to have some freshmen, we do now, they've never used Canvas. And so here they are, they don't know what to do. So those instructional videos are embedded inside of their module so that they are up and ready to go. They understand what a module means. It's a unit.
This section right here, we've been talking with Carol, and she's just been great helping us. But a lot of the information that we're receiving from principals and teachers that they're hearing from the parents, they don't know how to do this, they don't know how to do this, then we share it with Carol, and she does a quick video. And we're still working daily on providing resources for those families. An example, we had a parent, and they said, just get on the teacher, so we go to the WCDE site. And they said, what's that? So that, I mean, that's, you know, you go to the most needy and that level, and then you work up. You find what support can we find that. And I did joke with Jerry Whitaker today. I said, is there any funding in federal funds that we can rent a drive-in and then just do a big screen and show parents how to do things they can plug in their car. But joking aside, we see that need. And that's what this is. And now we got to help parents know how to get there to be able to follow the instructions there. And thanks, Carol. See you.
Yes. Carol's been working hard. Okay, the next slide, we are not going through all these documents with you. But all of these documents that are linked throughout, and Elliot, you can kind of just scroll through them, are all of the continuous learning plan documents that we had to create and submit for approval to get our BEP funding for distance learning. So it's very exciting. Yesterday we received that approval, which means, hey, we get BEP funding for distance learning, so yay.
Let me add to that, something that I didn't know. I got a call from somebody at the State Department, really highly placed. We were one of 65 school systems that got initial approval. They wanted permission to use our continuous learning plan to help other school systems that could not get theirs figured out. So we are a template for the rest of the state. And
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, yay, so I can do it here? Yeah, look at this. I need control of this. Okay, instructional technology, Curtis asked me to present on what has been distributed as of today. I know that some of these things might have been mentioned in finance. K-8 Chromebooks, 1,964. High school Chromebooks, 2,083. USB drives, 1,000. Principals will have those if they've not already. I know my high schools have them. Webcams, 125. Scanners, 90 for K-8. Chromebook chargers, 210. Chromebook carts for the purpose of charging, 12. He has purchased Nearpod and Aristotle for the high schools. I've not personally used those, so I can't speak to them, but Carol can because she does training on them. Nearpod marries to Canvas, and it allows the teacher control of the PowerPoint. Carol, can you explain what Nearpod and Aristotle are? You're muted.
You're muted.
Okay. Nearpod is a piece of software. One of the things you can do is you can cast to the students, and so you could be doing a PowerPoint, and when you switch, they all have the same screen as you, so it mirrors your screen to theirs. That's one of the things it'll do. But it also has built-in lessons, kind of like Canvas does. So you can get teaching materials in there. It does a lot. It's a wonderful resource. There's a free version, but you're missing a lot of pieces when you do the free one. So to get a subscription, you get to use all of its features. And I'm not as familiar with Aristotle, so I'm not the one to speak on that one.
Heath told me that it kind of censors or controls what students have access to when it's needed, especially in this environment. So I trust him.
Is Aristotle the one where you can, I think that might be the one where you monitor all the screens. That's what that one is.
Yes.
Yeah. So that way you can see if they're on task. So you'll see 25 screens instead of 25 faces.
So we need that. And like I said, I've not personally used those. I haven't been out of the classroom that long, but technology's changing so quickly.
You're a dinosaur.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a dinosaur at this point. We have some devices on back order. I know that we've already talked about that, and those chargers as well. And we hope to get those as soon as possible. The professional development we've already talked about, and then we had to submit on implementation monitoring and our communications pathways. So here, this is where I would like to spend the majority of our time. Jokingly. Okay, so K-8 statistics, we talked about that already a little bit. Cindy, do you have anything else to add about what it looks like as of August 4th?
So where we are today, this was the perfect time. I was sharing this with the ladies here, and I thought that I should share this with you all. And you know, sometimes we hear all the negatives and not enough positive. And one of the ladies here in the office say, oh my goodness, that a friend had contacted her and said, you've got to see this, this is great. There was something on social media, and I loved it when she said it was great. So I pulled it up, and this, even though it mentions a school here, and it's just the same for all the schools, because we're hearing the same, but I thought this was really cool. And it's mentioned in Boones Creek, and it says, BCES is rocking the online school. Teachers for 7th grade know what they are doing and are on it. Organized and put together well. Great job. Great first full day. And I do believe this just mirrors everything that's going on in the district. It's eye-opening for our parents, and you know what, it's new for them, and they were extremely excited to see how far even the teachers had come. So I thought that was a great compliment, and it's just, you know, we're hearing some positive stuff from the district. And the stats here, right as of yesterday, it was confirmed that we have made contact with 89% of our families.
What does that mean?
Contact means either we have talked to them on the phone, we have seen them in person, we've seen them virtually, or they have responded back and forth with an email. So they are aware and they're on board. And I thought that was a great percentage as of yesterday. Like we discussed earlier, unable to read to about 8 to 12%. And students who attended virtual orientation across K-8 world, about 80%. That's unreal. You're talking about a group that's never done this before.
And you're just talking some that don't have internet access that couldn't be involved in it. So that's amazing. Great job.
And those numbers increased today, so, because I'm having them report to me just daily, just quickly, giving me an estimate. So that's a great job.
I pulled this out of Canvas right before this meeting, about 3 o'clock today. So you can see at the top, this is Daniel Boone High School, 1,241 students. What I want you to see is page view and actions taken. On August the 3rd, our half day, 118,150 page views, 2,603 actions taken. Actions taken means they've submitted something. That's a lot of work. And then Crockett, the same thing, 1,185 students. We were very concerned about going remote because we've never done this. We did not expect as many students to log on at first. Before schools opened, I called Dr. Flannery, and within 1 hour, what was that, the Friday before schools opened? We had over 100 kids in Canvas the Friday before we were in school, just looking to see what their teachers had posted, because it was published. They could go in and see. So that was exciting.
What do you think not that it's a big deal, the differences between the actions taken, on the 4th for the Crockett students versus the Boone students?
It's actions taken could be that, anything that they've completed inside of Canvas.
Okay.
So, anything.
I just want to say that all the online paperwork, instead of all that big bunch of stuff coming home, has just been a blessing. Because that's probably what a lot of those actions
The
are.
high schools haven't put their
They haven't put
paperwork
their
out
stuff
there.
up
no.
yet.
That's
Well, when
actual
you got more
work.
assignments, you do have more assignments down at Crockett than you did up at Boone, I guess, if you look at this.
Yeah,
But,
assignment.
it was just,
And you can see discussion topics, files uploaded, it's just insane. I wanted to spend a lot of time just looking through the digital classroom examples. Cindy has linked, I don't know if I can do this, let's see, open a new tab. I'm not a technology person. I'm
You got
learning to
people that
be.
can help you.
Yeah.
You got-
I'm learning to be. Here we go, just like everybody else.
See, just like,
Here,
Okay.
let me get it for you.
you're just, when you open this, you're just gonna see a few slides of some teacher web pages and examples of what they're doing. Boone's Creek, you haven't seen, we might could pull it up in just a second after.
This is just a screenshot, Dr. Flannery, it's not the actual
I didn't know
video.
Jonathan Fox had these in it. Y'all didn't see these videos.
That's one of your motivational videos. This is one of our math teachers, having a meeting with his group of students, kind of getting to know him, introducing himself. And this is different. This is Miss Wright at Boone's Creek, and different areas they can click on to get classwork, assignments, documents, and different things. So this is just a screenshot of an virtual activity in math that students can play. And this is just a quick example of, what a student would see going into her teacher's or his classroom.
That's right, Kevin.
And there's just another example. And if you're on Twitter, there's 2 quick little videos of some of our teachers, new teachers doing new teacher orientation, and from yesterday, the teachers in their classrooms doing their training. So all of those are just examples of teachers' web pages where they're providing their resources and their classroom information.
My examples, I probably have way too many, but you all know I get really excited. When you give me the opportunity to get in front of you and showcase what my teachers are doing, I get really excited. So here we go. This is just a sample. I could probably spend 8 hours showcasing what they're doing, if not more. So this is a math classroom welcome video. One of the expectations for every high school teacher in that Unit 0 was to create a welcome video for their students. And so I would say that 99% of my teachers had that up and running on August 3rd. The other 1%, we worked on it today. So we're getting there. So you can go through and see. There's the Unit 0 example, so you can see what I was talking about. It was already built. You just had to go in there and add your stuff. And so here's another high school math classroom, just different things you can do inside of Canvas. You can see that Deb Bailey there on the left, she put hers like she's on a billboard. So it's just open. They can do whatever they want with it. They can use whatever software they want as long as they get it done. High school English. You can see that Miss Sweeney's welcome video, she's in the bottom left, her little face, and she's going through her expectations for the course. This is what a module looks like. This one's really cool because it's a Canvas scavenger hunt to learn to use Canvas as an assignment in a fun way for students to get them engaged. The teacher on the left, Miss Baker, she's the one that went out to the barn and introduced her animals and then said, students, I want you to create the same thing. Introduce yourself and gave the example. The week one is her example. The teacher on the right, Miss Davidson, is a brand new teacher. She was hired not that long ago, and that's her welcome video. And she's doing a Google Meet, as you can see, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Miss Clark at Crockett. I know we have two Miss Clarks. Wouldn't be one at Crockett? Yes, they're twins. This is Sharon Clark, and this is an example of her English 11 classroom. Here's an example of a module. You can go in and see where they've got all these different rhetorical devices explained. High school science. That's Dr. Hopkins. She's one of my technology leaders. She's becoming an expert on Nearpod. She's leading the trainings August 6th and August 7th. She's so excited about it. This is her class. She already has her agendas posted for the entire month of August. She already has pretty much her entire course built. Why? Because she loves doing it. She's excited about doing it. This is another science teacher, Dr. McGee. That's his introduction video. And his modules, the step-by-steps. Scott Lavoie for physics. Miss Horn at Boone for physics. You've got Coach Jennings and his COVID assignment and his modules. Flipgrid for government. You've got Mr. Ford at Boone. And that, where it says welcome to Mr. Ford's class, he's using a screen recording software and he's talking over what he would normally do for procedures on the first day. And he has his welcome video so the kids can see his face. Foreign language, Miss Pritchard's brand new French teacher at David Crockett. Learned Canvas, last week when we did training, new teacher training. She's already got all of her stuff up and ready to go. She has lived in France for 17 years. David Crockett graduate, came back, she is teaching. It's exciting.
Awesome.
That's great.
High school chorus with Miss Davenport. You can see she's utilizing tools that I have no idea how to use. She's got a to-do list on a whiteboard, virtually. It's exciting. And her module for music theory. Marching band and their module of things to do. ROTC. Health sciences is just an example of Miss Davis down at Crockett. You can see her daily attendance check-in. I would be able to click on that. Her modules, syllabus dates. So we're now getting into CTE. Crystal can get up and talk about any of this. Agri-science. Digital arts and design with Chris Tipton. Welding, brand new teacher. Amazing what he has done in his Canvas course. I wanted to showcase 33 responses yesterday on his discussion board. Kids are in there actively engaged and working. Construction with Mr. Good at Crockett. Auto mechanics with Gary Lockins. Culinary arts with Jessica Gorley. CAD at Boone with Mr. Bishop. Mr. Van Huss, brand new teacher. His Canvas page is impressive. Cosmetology, brand new teacher at Boone. Just the picture alone, welcome, please come in. I just thought that her class was just so inviting. And you can see she's already got Unit 1, huge Unit 1, ready to go for students. And they're working. This is Sharon Bishop at Crockett. 32 responses day one on her discussion board. PE, Coach Street. Volleyball unit is actually Coach Baker at Boone. That's why I put that blue line to kind of separate them. Miss Pleasant, Coach Pleasant on the right. And then you've got a picture of a volleyball and a link to her modules from her class. Coach Connor, our Olympic gold medalist, and his weightlifting unit. And it's Unit 0. You can see that they're using that unit in his video. And any questions about high school Canvas? That was my short and sweet.
It's impressive.
Very.
The teachers are impressive. They're doing amazing work. Love this spot, Mindy.
No, I have linked all of our special education documents, and I've already talked about how we're doing it. So I won't go through all of that. We have a Google Classroom set up for our special education teachers that has videos of step-by-step of how to do the virtual platforms, how to post a lesson, our special ed teachers, except for the brand new ones, and they'll be receiving training, our special ed teachers are solid on instruction. We didn't need to spend any time on that. But what we're focused on is how to do the virtual platforms. Our special ed coordinator, Sabrina St. John, she has done an amazing job of dedicating her whole summer to learning the platforms so that she can go out and support. So we're having teachers call and say, I need help with this, and she's there. Or they'll call and say, I need help with this, and I can kind of try my best to help. I'm not the greatest at it. But we have all kinds of supports in place. But the biggest thing is our special ed teachers are amazing. In the spring, they really impressed me with what they did. Every time we met, and I'd be like, I have this idea, and they're like, we've been doing that. So they are great. They did a fantastic job in the spring with little structure. So I know that with the guidelines and the structures and the training that we have now, they're just going to take this and run with it. So our whole goal has just been to provide kids with the same quality of high quality service that we provide all throughout the school year, and also make sure that it's manageable for the teachers. And I really feel like that's where we are. We're just at a place of where we don't know exactly what the holes are till we get in there and do it. And we've planned and planned and planned, and we've done trainings, but we're at the point where let's do it and let's see what we need. And I think that, I feel really good with that because I know we have a really strong team. Do y'all have any questions for special ed? Thank you.
We have one last slide.
Thank you. That's good.
Grace, support, and flexibility. Our motto moving forward with remote learning. We want our teachers to understand that there's grace to make mistakes. It's not a gotcha system. We want to support them through all of this. Because like I've said multiple times now, this is all new.
Question?
Very good presentation.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
That was,
It's amazing.
I got a question for Crystal or Ms. Fink. I'm concerned about our seniors and their certifications. I mean, what point do we go to till, we can't, they turn around and graduate in like 10 hours of certification, you know what I'm saying? What can we do to help that? What's your plan on that?
Right now, we've established some lab protocols, however, we're still in the red, so we're not able to utilize those. We do have some certification boards that are creating waivers where they don't have to have as many lab hours to be eligible for test. But right now, we're really in that we have to wait and see kind of stage. Our career practicum, work-based learning, those are students who are considered essential workers. They are still allowed to go into facilities. But of course, they're just gaining course credit. But fortunately, a lot of our CNA, a lot of the other ones, we've postponed till the spring. So we've changed the schedule, so hopefully by the spring semester, they'll be able to be full in. But our hands are tied with a lot of our industry certifications because if we cannot get into the facilities to get those lab hours, there's nothing we can do about it. As far as in what we're doing right now, and that's been a challenge. I mean, career technical, we're all about hands-on. We have our teachers, I spent all day at Crockett today. I spent time with every single teacher, and a lot of them, they're doing online videos. Most of our skills in CTE are multi-step, and I had one teacher tell me today, he said, you know what, I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and now this forces me to do it. So he's able to go in and do a video of land block, and the student can go and watch that multiple times instead of him recreating it multiple times. So that, that's been a positive out of this, but we really don't know what industry certifications are gonna look like yet. Like I said, our hands are tied with a lot of our clinical hours. I'm working with the state. I'm talking to them about every day, and we're trying to work as all the first region. I collaborate with all the CT directors to kind of get different ideas, but our lab procedures right now are on hold until we're not ready anymore. Yes.
So, when I think of lab procedures, I'm thinking of, a small number of students that could probably have some safety protocols, some distancing, some mask and face shields and some other things. But is that something that Dr. Flannery would have to make the call on and make some kind of exception to allow, as opposed to a full class?
Yes.
We've got to have lab work, we've got to have people running the welder, we've got to have them, hands-on.
Our protocols, our protocols right now say five students.
Okay.
But again, we're still outside that range. When we're in the 30s, 33%, which is 3 times above,
Okay.
we just can't risk that. But as soon, we're watching those numbers daily. And as soon as those numbers can come down, we want the most opportunity for our students, but we also we have to balance safety.
Gotcha.
Mr. Mayor, when we get some real good movement in that trend, and when I can get Dr. David Kursky to say, yeah, you've got a pretty good plan, we'll start moving those kids back in.
Okay, all right.
Chad has another question.
I got another question to
Yes.
follow up with Cindy and Ashley. We spent a lot of money on textbooks. Now that we went virtual, obviously we're not handing out textbooks to every kid. Is that virtual, what is it we went to, the virtual library?
Actually, our textbooks are virtual. So with the ELA adoption, now, in the world we're in today, you can't just buy hardback books anymore. You buy the virtual book and you pay $10 more for the hardback to go with it. It's a package deal. So all of our students, they should have access as of today with a single sign-on through Google to the ELA textbooks for grades 6 through 12. We're still working through a couple hiccups with that, with Pearson, which is now a different company, Savas. But we're doing that. Also, with the CARES Act money, I was able to purchase digital resources for my high school. Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry, world history and geography, American government, U.S. history, biology, physics, chemistry, AP biology, AP chemistry, AP human geography, AP U.S. history, AP government.
Tell them what that costs.
A lot of money.
Just give them a price tag.
Almost $200,000. But that allows our students to have access to the most up-to-date textbooks in those fields from the adoptions that we did all those years. We couldn't afford to buy those books. We got digital versions for them. The teachers have all of the resources that come with those books. So last week, July 30th, all of my high school teachers in academic areas, they were going through textbook training on how to use their digital resources. You talk about happy teachers right now. My teachers are very happy. Now, the vendor, HMH, they cannot get into those just yet. Students haven't synced, but they will next week. There was a kind of a holdup because we're using CARES Act money and getting everything processed quickly. But by the end of next week, it should be good to go.
I think that's great, and I'm glad we're doing it, but is there, just to know what's coming down the pike, is that a renewal cost that we're going to then be looking at?
In 6
the
years.
next- In how many
Mr.
years?
Meredith. 6.
6 years, okay.
Except
Yeah, I
now-
couldn't remember if it was annual or if it was a 5 or 6 year grade.
I got a
That's perfect.
6-year one,
Excellent.
and I played hardball with these companies. We got a lot of free stuff, teachers, resources. They're just sending us stuff, hard copies of stuff that was delivered today at Crockett. We didn't even know was coming. Workbooks of things, and we're like, wow, this is all just things that they're sending with it. Except math. I think math was a 3-year because they're up for adoption then. Their standards are going to change.
Oh, thanks.
And with the K-8 world, we do have the digital resources, but the good thing is with math and ELA, we have consumable materials that we will be distributing to the families. And if you're not familiar with that, what that means is it's like a workbook, with directions and a little bit more information than a standard workbook. So we'll get to send those home, and that is another resource that they can do work on papers. Because being a former teacher like many of you in here, you know that practice with math especially, they need those sheets to work. And the teachers can collaborate with the students about the work that they do on those. So those are going to be distributed.
Anybody else? Okay, Mr. Planner.
Thank you, you're aware, board members, that we have a contractual agreement with District Solutions in Atlanta to handle the bus advertising. Since the buses are not moving, No revenue is being generated for that company or for Washington County Schools. I have proposed to District Solutions that we move bus advertising to our Washington County website until the buses start moving again. They agreed and indicated their advertising clients would follow suit. Now, strictly speaking, Washington County School Board Policy 1.806 does not allow any sort of advertising at all. There have been a couple of exceptions made. When bus advertising was made legal by the General Assembly, what, 4 or 5 years ago, the board at that time authorized participation in that program. And decades ago, this school board allowed the sale of advertising space on athletic fields. So, with the exception of political signage, there is nothing in Tennessee Code annotated that would prevent the board from allowing advertising on its website. And I also talked to Scott Bennett. He cautioned against allowing anything remotely political if there was no other opposition. Mr. Chairman, I recommend and request that the board allow our bus advertisements to move to our website until such time the buses resume transporting students.
Mr. Chairman, I put that in the form of a motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Discussion? Mr. Gaines?
I guess that'll be only the advertising that's currently on the buses now.
That is correct. No new, nothing new, just what we've got on the buses that aren't moving.
Okay.
Well, my question is, do we want that on our website for, parents get on there and they're on there to look at their kids' stuff. They're not on there to look at advertisements. So,
where would it go specifically, Dr. Flannery? I mean, I'm sitting here looking at our homepage,
I've seen a mock-up that District Solutions did. It would take up maybe a fourth of the homepage. Maybe
is it at the
less.
top, a banner, or at the bottom, or?
It would be like scrolling little blocks, and they're not clickable. It would not allow them to click through to a company. It would just be an image, and it would be a rolling, scrolling type of thing with maybe 4 or 6 different cubes.
And those people are paying us. They're paying us to advertise?
Yeah, but not as long as we're not, the bus is not loaded. And
Yeah.
it's about 24,000 a year.
If it's on a fixed place or something and it rolls, I'm probably, I'm not against that, but if it does something like the Johnson City Press does, where these ads keep popping up everywhere, and you don't know whether you're looking at an ad or looking at real content, then I'd be totally against doing something like that. It just makes it too confusing to use the website. But I mean, you want to do it until the buses start running again, I'm okay with that. I'm just saying, as you look through how they structure it, just try not to make it look like.
And the money goes towards the science
Science
programs?
instruction, grade 7 through 12, it buys consumables,
And that's
frogs and test tubes.
good. Okay, thanks.
okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Urban?
No.
Next, the board policy 1.403 provides that at the beginning of each fiscal year, the board shall adopt an annual planning calendar starting month by month actions required by law and those required to carry out the board's annual goals and objectives and the State Board of Education performance standard. The proposed annual agenda is in BOE Connect, and I see Jim bringing that up for your perusal. It has been reviewed by multiple staff members. Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval.
I'd kind of like to make an amendment to that where we do our get-together for July and go over our annual plan. I think since especially this year we moved it to, October, I think it would be better suited, especially every 2 years, since we may have different board members come on, that it should be right after those people get oriented with everything, instead of wait 11 months and then find out, well, that was on the annual plan that they had no idea about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking, is the annual plan on here and, let's see,
There isn't.
I'm looking, I printed this off, so where, I mean, where is our retreat or our planning time? It looks like it, here it's in, what, July?
We were supposed to have it at the summer law, but we didn't get to have it.
Right, so Chad, is what you're saying is, do we do that in October or November?
I'd like to move it to there and the administrative reports, just because, like I said, you're getting, if you ever have new board members come on, then it needs to be moved to where they're involved in the planning process and know what's going on, instead of, like I said, waiting 11 months to find out about it. What do you think about that, Dr. Planner?
That's fine, suits me.
So you want that added on there, because that's not listed?
Well, the administration reports,
You can get a motion on
Mhm.
I need a motion to accept this, and then we'll make a motion for the amendment. How's that? That work? Okay. I need a motion to accept this plan.
So moved.
Have a second?
so
Now discussion.
I'd like to make an amendment to move administrative reports and also add district plan, our 5-year strategic plan, and add that to October. That'd give them a month to go through orientation. Isn't that what you tried to do last time, Dr. Planner?
it. Board
First month.
policy says we have to do an orientation within our first 30 days.
Okay.
You talking about the orientation that's done here locally, or the 2-day orientation you go through in Nashville?
No, the orientation here.
It says your superintendent has to be one here within 30 days.
So you're moving the strategic plan to September and?
No, I'm sorry, move the strategic 5-year plan
Uh-huh.
to review in October, and also the administrative reports.
So is it
Please.
still annual?
You're supposed to review that plan annually, 5-year.
Right, but I was just thinking with the annual agenda, does that not fall on our year from July 1 to June?
This is the year we're in right now, correct? This is our annual, this
Right.
is our annual agenda for.
That's our annual
Yeah.
agenda because it follows
I just think that's in policy.
our
Well,
year.
It says
Well, this one starts
July
in
will be
September
it
apparently,
every July.
so.
I'm not positive.
I don't know, I
Well,
just-
can we follow up on that, Dr. Keys? We think we may have a policy that says that we're gonna go over our 5-year strategic plan every July. Will you double check into that?
Yes. I will read it.
Okay, I have a motion as amended. Let's see, I need a vote on the amendment. Do I have a second on his amendment?
Second?
Okay. I have a motion and a second.
Can you do that? You got a policy?
We changed the policy.
I mean, we need
I
to
think
change
the
the policy
policy-
before we make the new.
I think the policy was about the annual agenda. He's talking about the strategic
Strategic plan.
plan.
Yeah.
That's two different.
I mean, I think it's a great idea, I'm just saying.
Well, we can always go back to doctor the policy. But if she finds it next month or whatever,
If we err it.
yeah, just in her spare time.
Roll call vote on the amendment.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yeah.
Mr. Day?
Yeah.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger?
No.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
No.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Yes. Okay, motion, the amendment passes. Now, the motion as amended. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger?
No.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Yes.
And then
Motion passes.
the annual agenda provides that vehicle authorization report be prepared and presented to the board each year in August. The report shows a dozen employees that are issued a vehicle that they drive home and to work each day. Within the report is a rationale for issuing these vehicles. Mr. Chairman, I recommend acceptance of the report.
I have a motion.
I have a question. Is this everybody that drives a vehicle home? Okay.
Do I have I need a motion to accept that.
I'll make a motion to accept
Okay.
the report.
Second. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Fleener?
I was looking today at some of these, and and don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's valid reasons for all these. I just wish we had more information. But I noticed there was 5 out of the bus garage that are using it. And, you know, we've got one that drives several miles a day. And totally, you know, we drive 120 mile or 241 mile per day, all those 12 vehicles. Well, at 260 days a year, it's 62,000 miles drove just back and forth to home in a year. And today we looked at those new vehicles. I mean, 62,000 miles is a lot of miles. At $2 a gallon, that's $6,200 we spend just so people can drive back and forth home to work. That's a lot of money, in my opinion. I'm not trying to nitpick on it, but I don't know that that's a very good, I mean, we've only got really one supervisor on here, 2 supervisors, I guess. Mr. Roberts and Mr. Patrick, so.
Mr. Chairman, may I answer
Yes.
some of this?
Yes.
Some of this stuff has been discussed in previous years, Mr. Fleener, and some of these folks are HVAC specialists or electricians, or they take the vehicles home in case they get called out in the middle of the night for emergencies and so forth. And that's always been the argument from transportation as to why some of these folks have to drive one home. If they had to drive from their house to the shop to pick a vehicle up to get what they needed to go to an emergency, probably delay them anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour most of the time. And that's just been some of the issues. I understand everything you're saying, but there's always been what seems to sound like a justified defense for some of this. One year, and I don't know if the guy's on there now or not, I don't remember his name, he was a HVAC specialist that lived up toward, I remember right up toward Rome Mountain or somewhere over in Carter County. And they talked about our salary level for him, and he could go elsewhere, probably make half again as much money. So, to me, part of his pay was allowing him to take that vehicle home and bring it back. But there again, he was one of the ones that would be on emergency call if something was needed during the night.
Only 2 of those are maintenance people, just Philip Patrick and Eddie Teague. 5 of them's a bus garage, and the rest of them are 2 for technology and 2 for food service.
Yeah, the bus guys are probably go out on call when there's breakdowns
You
with
got
100+ buses.
That's all I got a paper on.
Michelle drives hers home.
I thought
She's not on the list.
Dr. Planner, were you,
I'm sorry.
But, you
no,
know,
it's on. I just heard the chairman say that there's others that drive their car home that aren't on this list.
How many on the bus garage?
This is an exhaustive list of people that drive county vehicles.
Well, whatever the board feels like. Money's tight.
So this is a full list, is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
I can't read that from here. Does it show the mileage that's on each of the cars?
No.
How did we come up with that number? What'd you do, take 62,000 miles, about by how many miles per gallon?
No, I just added all their total miles up one way,
Uh-huh.
except Mr. Scott. At times it by 2. 260 days a year. That's 62,660 miles. If we got 20 mile a gallon, at 4,300 or 31.33, at $2 a gallon, 62.66.
Yeah. And they don't get 20 miles
They
an
don't
hour.
get 20.
Well, I was being generous.
Does
Yeah.
this not need to go back for a?
But that's what I'm saying. And-
But if you cut out 3 of them, you're talking about $1,000.
Yeah, I mean,
Is there other people driving?
Yes.
it's a cumulative. There's one in there that drives along, but you know, 2 of them that drive smart. But what I don't like though is some comments have been made though that saying that somebody's driving home that ain't on this list, which I ain't trying to nitpick, but it's the same point. You know, how did these 12 get put on there and there was somebody that wasn't? But
I don't get it. I mean, this list is presented to me as being inclusive and exhaustive. I mean, is there somebody that's driving a vehicle that's not on this list?
Maybe,
I don't know
maybe a
that.
complete
Somebody lied
list
to me.
today, I don't know.
I just heard some comments, that's the
I
reason I
always
said.
thought Michelle drove hers home.
Yep.
From Maine, from the,
She's not on this list. I assume she parks her truck at the warehouse.
I don't know.
I think
I don't either.
that's something I would check into, Dr. Clown.
I mean, if somebody lied to me, I'm gonna find out tomorrow, but this was presented to me as an exhaustive list. And we supervised.
But I was thinking she drove hers home, so.
I'm comfortable with each one of these people using the vehicle. A lot of them will not drive all the way back in from, say, the warehouse or here. They'll go from where they live to, they work site, a school site on the morning.
Does that happen, like, a bus mechanic, they're not going out in the middle of the night? So are they,
Well, they could.
I guess they could for a ball game or something,
Let's say
maybe.
bus breaks down on their march down to the ball game.
How do you know it's
Yeah.
But you can go back to the bus garage, get the truck to the school.
Right. Ground maintenance works nice, technology,
Could we get the Director of Finance to maybe give us a list of non-student vehicles? I'll put it that way. I don't care to see, I mean, we've got a bus inventory list, but, I mean, all these would be on the book, every vehicle we own would be on the book, so I'd kinda like to see how many vehicles we have that, you know, maybe people, they aren't driven home, but we have them parked somewhere for work during the day, maintenance vehicles and things like that.
You talking about the white fleet?
Well, I don't know
Total.
what label you put, yeah, I mean, yeah,
Total.
yeah.
Everything else is yellow.
Correct, yeah, okay, I understand what, yep. I mean, is that something you could get for us, Brad, or?
Yeah, I mean, there is a list, an exhaustive list. It's maintained by Tony Roberts over our transportation supervisor. We, of course, have to have a record of every vehicle we have tagged. because
Right.
We pay for those.
Right.
So it's something that can be given. you know.
Right.
I actually have an older list, but I don't know that I have one in the last 3 months or 4 months.
Well, I mean, it'd be nice to have that. I mean, we're gonna get ready and, you know, approve the purchase of some more vehicles here in a minute, and, you know, what all did we have to start with? And somebody asked about mileage on replacing them, which we do when we look at school buses, so, yeah, I mean, I'd just like to know what that is.
Are all these vehicles marked as Washington County school vehicles, like the little yellow circle on them when they go home?
I think a couple of the newest ones don't have a sticker yet.
So we need to get that taken care
Yeah,
of.
and I just got a note from Mr. Patrick. Michelle does on occasion drive a vehicle home, she does not drive it every day. So it has need basis.
So she should be on the list then.
She should be on the list. With a notation that it's not an everyday list.
so what we do?
I need a motion, we accept this list.
Or it done then,
Yeah,
Okay.
whether or
Do
not
I
it
have a
does.
second?
yes.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Buchanan?
No.
Mr. Day?
We're accepting it as is? Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to have it repeated, please.
To accept the report.
No.
Mr. Fleener?
Go then.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
He has left the building.
Okay.
He's muted.
He's muted.
It's not there.
Mr. McLean?
No.
Mr. Meredith?
So what this is we're voting on those individuals that are authorized to drive their vehicle home.
This report, yes.
And so if somebody's driving it home and they're not on this list, then they're in, they got somebody to talk to. Yeah, I'm for it, yes.
Mr. Hammond? We're voting on to approve the report.
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
No.
Bill?
Failed. Okay.
What's that mean? Nobody gets to drive their car home?
Well, it just needs to be, I feel like it needs to be a complete list. So, but I just think it needs to be brought back to us next month with the complete list.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, and I won't be here, but can I request that mileage of each vehicle be listed on there so we know how many miles is on them?
Okay. What's next, Mr. Flynn?
Let's see, we got to look at meal prices.
Meal prices.
One script here. The schedule of meal prices for 2021 school year is a bill that connect for your consideration. The prices are identical to those charges in 2019-2020. I recommend approval.
Make a motion, we approve it. Meal prices.
Okay, got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, got a second, discussion. Are we still feeding kids? Is that still going
Yep.
on?
5 days a week.
So it is still going?
We don't get much business. Crockett, we have just a handful, but we did get a waiver of USDA rules in the last few days, like we did back in the spring. We can distribute meals to all children ages birth to 18 at no cost to anybody. So the question I was going to bring to you about whether or not we'll let them charge meals is moot. Just give them the USDA budget. It's a long answer to your question. Yeah, we feed them.
I know we had I want to say this before I forget it, we had a milk day at ETSU parking lot, and Washington County Schools got, I can't remember how many gallons of milk we put on that truck. We put, let's see, 62 cases, and there's 4 to a case, so we put several gallons of milk on the truck.
Did these come from your cows?
No. No, this was, let's see, who was this milk? Borden.
Borden?
Borden, yeah, that's where the milk come from. All right, next, is it committees?
No, we're gonna take a vote.
Okay. Roll call vote on lunch prices?
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye.
Couple other things, just real quick. The Facilities Committee requested additional information from the 4 firms that have submitted proposals for energy management. They were all turned in on time. I spoke with the chairman of the committee, Mr. Day, earlier, and we're just going to run that right back through the committee as part of the regular committee meetings in September. I need to tell you that Washington County Schools has been named in a class action lawsuit. A firm, an outfit in New York has literally sued every public school system in the United States of America over malfeasance having to do with students on an IEP. And in speaking to our attorney today, he is confident that this will be summarily thrown out soon, but we have been named in a lawsuit. You have been informed. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, I will note that this is Philip McLean's last meeting as a member of the Board of Education. I'd like to thank my friend for his leadership, for his service to the children of Washington County, and I think that Washington County Schools is a better place because of your service. That's all I've got.
I am going to take a 10-minute break. Everybody's looking at me. Let's see what's, get this thing come up. Now, committee reports, athletics. Who's chairman? Collins, okay.
Athletics Committee met July 30th. Meeting minutes have been dropped. Hopefully everybody had time to read them. So I'd like to move for approval of the report.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote on the report.
Ms. Dellinger,
Yes.
Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger,
Aye.
Mr. Hammond, Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Meredith,
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Okay, we got one recommendation, and the committee voted unanimously to move forward with fall sports to compete at the middle school and high school level. Put that form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Could you give us details on that as far as number of attendees allowed and so forth, or any other details you could share with us?
The only, I guess, detail of this motion is that the committee wants to move forward with fall sports, letting them compete, practice, and all. The committee discussed for well over an hour on this, and we felt like it was best to let the administration handle any details as far as that goes. And like you said there, the capacity, maybe, I assume you're talking football games and stuff like that.
Football, basketball?
Well, basketball's a winter sport.
That's right. That's right, you referred to fall, excuse me.
But the discussion through the committee was to leave all that with administration and athletic directors.
Even the wearing of masks being required versus not required?
Only thing the committee recommends is allowing them to move forward practicing and playing fall sports.
I just don't feel comfortable making that decision until there is a plan.
Mr. Ganger, didn't we have about a 3-page plan that was presented to us that they were supposed to go by, or Dr. Flannery?
TSSAA has
Yeah.
yes.
There is a big plan, about 3 or 4 pages of plan of how that will be conducted. The amount of attendance at the ball games, I think, was 1/3, was it not?
It just said recommended 1/4 to 1/3 or 1/2.
Something like that, yeah. So there is a actual plan that they're using.
Recommended.
Yeah,
not
recommended plan.
something you
And
have to follow.
how are you going to keep the students social distanced, and how does that all work? They've just shut Greenville's down today, and I'm just not so sure that it's safe at this point to say, yes, let's play games 2 weekends from now.
Well, I was told today that the Greenville one was the baseball team that went somewhere and played. And that it wasn't nothing to do with football, that's what.
Well, we ain't Greenville.
So this also includes middle school. They're gonna start,
Yep.
and principals are gonna need to make sure everybody that, spectators are gonna be, social distancing.
They have a plan. I'm sure you can get a copy of it. That's recommended.
So middle school, okay.
It's for all fall sports.
Well, everybody needs to realize that for both of our high schools, football that's where they get the money to operate the rest of the sports with.
But you can't have the crowd, so.
Well, I'm wondering if we move more seating into it, if we all know we got more bleachers and stuff, if we put in there, if we could have maybe 50% of the crowd.
Well, I think if you just sell tickets for that percentage you want to allow, and then that's it. You don't get tickets, you don't come by.
Well, we hold about 2,500 to 3,000 people. So if we went 50%, that'd be 1,500. So, you know.
So 1,000 people.
Also, if I'm on, Mr. Chairman, TWSAA says that we will absolutely require all fans to wear facial coverings at all times.
All right.
And we cannot allow them into a game in this particular temperature. It's not an option.
Okay.
I thought he said it was optional on temperature,
Let's see here.
because I did see the mask, but I thought the temperature said optional.
At contests, all coaches, players, team
Those
personnel,
people.
and fans must have their temperature checked before entering the facility.
Okay. I thought the fans were optional.
Dr. Flander, is there any other specific issues that's mandatory? I understand what you just said about the mask and the temperature check, and I think those are both good ideas based on the issues.
We've got to put signage, symptom checklist has to be posted prominently. There has to be a screening done for every coach, player, team personnel. It's pretty lengthy. I mean, it's almost like a medical exam. Let's see what else. It goes on to 10 pages. The concession stands are discouraged. Also, the use of school bands is discouraged. If we use a public address system, everybody does, the whole school will make public service announcements at various times to remind those in attendance to use the masks. The whole school is responsible for certain cleaning and sanitation practices. And the only absolute have-tos are the fans have to, everybody has to wear facial covering and the temperature.
I just don't see how we cannot conduct school, but we can conduct football or volleyball or fall sports. I just don't see how we can say we can't bring our kids in the school because it's not safe, but we say it's safe for our athletes.
We can say it.
We can say it, but it doesn't make any sense. It makes you talking out two sides of
Well,
your
we
mouth.
talked about that. You know, how many people gather in the commons area at David Crockett High School? 300 or 400.
That's why we're not in school.
But that's why we're not in school, but that's not why we're not on football field. There ain't 300 or 400 with masks and helmets and pads, and they might be together within 10 seconds instead of 10 minutes.
And the numbers for some of these other places that are coming to us is higher than ours.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna prolong
We're gonna check
school.
their temperature, make them wear a mask, and make
Be in
them sit 6
session.
feet apart.
Danny texted me and said that there's a Northeast Tennessee School System Activities Return to Play plan and the TWSAA plan. And I believe, Dr. Flannery, you have all that info.
And the 13 superintendents in this region formally adopted that extended plan earlier this week.
Who adopted that?
All of the superintendents meet weekly. And we created a guidance document early in the summer for the current practice. And then we have adopted what it does is flesh out the TWSAA rules and the governor's executive order. It covers every base that the TWSAA rules cover. We agree as a group that we will follow that as a group.
And there's no,
So what are we doing about it?
is there no plan out there to like push it back to after Labor Day?
No, that would be individual school decisions.
About school.
And we've also agreed as a group to leave it up to our school boards. No superintendent's willing to make that decision autonomously.
So elementary principals are going to have to monitor, that's gonna add to them having to check temperatures. Who is gonna do that? Check temperatures, make sure people have facial coverings?
Yeah, so I guess it'd be a team effort, principals, school nurses, coaches.
How do the principals feel about this? Have you asked them? So how do you feel about this?
No, I think that it's too dangerous. Every school system in Northeast Tennessee is, we're triple rated. Triple rated. And all it takes is one sick kid at a football game, and you've got 2 entire teams quarantined.
I've had a few elementary principals reach out to me, and they're not comfortable
Well, I
with
have
it at
too,
all.
with
Okay.
the elementary.
I don't know about the high school, but I know the elementary, they're not comfortable with this.
Well, I will say this,
I feel
it's,
like I'd be doing an injustice, but in my Q&A sessions, the principals have mentioned that to me, that they have concerns about having to monitor or be responsible for collecting money or being exposed. So,
I'll say this, as far as on sports-wise, I mean, football, if you don't let them move forward right now, practicing and getting prepared to play, then football's done for the year. It's not a sport to where you can just say, hey, next week, we're gonna let you all play, you can go back to practicing this week and get ready. It's not a sport you can do that. So if we turn away from it tonight and don't allow them to move forward, you're pretty much getting rid of the football season for both high schools. There just won't be enough, you just won't be able to. They need to be practicing right now. They went live, the governor allowed them to go live Monday with contact, and you know, that's to prepare them for 3 weeks down the road when they get to play. And so, I mean, that's just something to think about.
So are they not practicing now? It's my understanding they were practicing.
They are practicing. They got contact. They've already started Monday, yesterday.
So why are we having to even take action on this, Mr. Gaines?
It's because, like Dr. Flannery said, there's directors do not want to take responsibility to make this call. They want local boards to do it.
Okay.
Mr. Blaine?
If I had to make a choice, and they're already practicing, I would say allow them to practice, but no games where you're bringing in hundreds of people from the public to expose somebody. If one guy were to sneak in, the next issue is going to be a difficulty in policing the mask. It's just people are going to walk through the door and they're going to take them off. So I think it comes down to a point of where do we place our priorities, on education or on athletics? And in this scenario, I think you need to err on the side of safety. It's all right to let them go ahead and practice and be prepared in case this thing eases up. But in the meantime, I can't see how we can support public games. And I enjoy a good football game or a good basketball game as well as anybody here.
And I agree. I think our ultimate goal is to get them in school. And I can see that this may keep that from happening. It may prolong that. And like I said, I like the ball games too. They do bring in a lot of money for the athletics, but I just want to err on the side of safety.
So,
Are we about to?
if we had, Mr. Gaines, if we had.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Fleener?
Well, I know exactly what you're saying, I'm torn by it too, but the only thing that gets me is just like spring. We shut the spring water off, we didn't have no baseball or anything like that. Looking back, what did we do? We just didn't let the seniors participate, you know, and looking back, we should have. What did we lose? Well, just like now, we got a senior class that's getting ready to step up, and this is my thing, in seventh grader, or you a sixth grader, whatever, playing sports, but especially the senior may have been backing up somebody for the last 3 years, and this is their year, they get to step up to the plate and see if they can do it. Maybe throwing away a scholarship for them. I mean, I agree. I mean, it's just like right now, you can go to the Food City, they're open. If you're scared that you're gonna get the virus, you can order online, don't go, send your neighbor, whatever you wanna do. So you have a choice, and just like this right here, I mean, we've got to let the kids at least practice and get ready for these ball games. We're leaving that up, that we're saying, hey, they've got to practice, we're starting it, or we're giving them permission to start it. But in the same thing, you just can't just turn it off and then turn it back on when, all right, 3 weeks from now, the numbers go down. Well, shoot, let's have a ball game Friday night. Well, we'll get somebody killed up there. So, that's my opinion.
They've been together all summer long, so I don't mind them to finish practicing. I just think their games and bringing other students here needs to be put off.
Till when?
Till, well, let's see after Labor Day if something goes back down. Morristown, if you look at their numbers, it's up to 66.
We only have a meeting once a month, But if you, just because you wanna have a meeting tomorrow, you know, don't mean you get a meeting tomorrow.
And here's
So-
the other thing, you know, on that, if two or three others, if these other systems have got it as bad as we say they do, they're probably not gonna have a team to play. So we ain't gonna have to worry about it. I mean, they ain't gonna show up, they ain't gonna be in school, so, or they ain't gonna, we don't have to worry about it, so.
The way I understood it, the athletic directors and the trainers met and put a plan, made a plan up, give it to the directors, that's the way it was, and the directors accepted it, and with their plan, and the directors accept, ball game starts August the 21st or whenever the first seven.
All we did was just flesh out the holes that was in the TSSAA plan. There was no decision made on anything. All of us agreed as a unit that this is a board level decision.
Well, so are you asking this board to make a vote to start ball games August the 21st? Or?
The motion is to move forward with fall sports, and they're already scheduled. So we're not messing with anything schedule-wise. When something comes up, golf's already playing.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we got sports already playing. And we're not messing with any schedule. The committee is just recommending move forward with the fall sports as scheduled. And let me just say this too. There is weekend travel baseball and softball tournaments going on all over the place.
That's not
All over the place.
Yeah,
And-
our kids are playing it.
Yeah, they absolutely are.
I just don't
Yes.
understand how we can sit here and say, we can't have our kids in the school system, but yet we can have sports. And I can't understand how you can put all the people that want to be there and keep our numbers up and not go back in school. I'm to the point where education is, you know,
Mitch?
Thank you. If we're back in school and you've got all the kids in the common area, I get that. I understand that difference. In the football team versus everybody at lunch is a big difference, and that makes sense. What's troubling to me is I heard probably 20 minutes ago from Miss Fink that she can't get 5 kids into a welding class. Okay, because of, I guess, the policy that the director of schools has implemented. This body's getting ready to tell the director of schools to let his kids play football. I'm going to make an amendment to the motion to tell the director of schools to allow CTE classes to carry on within, you know, the confines of 5 students, 8 students, something that's safe, so we can get these kids certification in place, get their hands-on actions taken care of, and do what this Board of Education, which is education, is responsible for doing. So
I'll
make
second that.
Okay.
Well, now, let me ask you this question. Since
I mean, if the whole idea is we're acting on this because we need to tell the director of schools what to do, then why aren't we doing that with CTE or anything
The
else?
director of schools has decided not to take the opinion to make this call. They're letting the Board of Education make this call. They don't want to. He wanted to go virtual.
Right.
He made that call. Okay, is that not correct, Dr. Flannery? Directors are not wanting to decide this.
If we feel as a group that this is a decision that should be made by local boards of education.
I just have even as a board, I have a hard time, you know, saying I can't have 5 kids in a welding class, but I can have 45 or 50 on the football field.
You're not saying that as a board member.
No,
your director is saying that there can't be 5
but the
CTE.
public's looking at me and saying, well, why aren't you doing that?
Well, I'm just, that's the,
Why are you because I'm getting ready to act on letting them play ball.
sure, because you were given that task, you were asked to make that decision. We gave him the authority on what to do as far as schools.
Can I ask on that? I'm hearing you, and I don't mean any disrespect whatsoever to Dr. Flannery. But in my mind, and I've already thought about what Mitch said the other day, because the directors have decided to not take this action, but they want us to take that action. Well, what makes us incapable of taking the action Mitch is talking about to ask the director to allow those kids to go to CTE classes? Does that make sense?
Are you asking me?
Well,
I didn't know if you-
sort of, yeah. I mean, I'm just asking, what's the difference if he wants to allow us to make this call? I feel confident enough, if I can make this call, I can make that call Mitch just made a motion on.
Well, personally, if you're asking me, I think that's two separate issues and it shouldn't be tied into one vote. But, you know, it should be a part of an amendment to this, but it could be a motion, yes.
Separate.
Yes.
Because I agree with Mitch, because honestly, I hear what you're saying and I agree wholeheartedly. You know, Chad said there's kids working on scholarships. Well, these CTE kids are working on things that they need just as importantly as a football scholarship to Tuscaloosa.
Did she not say that the schedule has been changed for most of the CTE kids?
She said that she said there's nothing right now that they know
But
of
they
to
was
allow
moving
them.
moving their schedule, that way it'd be spring before they could get their certification. Come springtime, they would be doing they could do the welding and do the auto mechanics to get their certification then.
What about the ones graduating in the winter?
Well, I mean, that's just a thing, they're gonna have to come back if they.
I mean,
I understand what y'all saying, and I like the idea about bringing them up there for 2 or 3 hours or something, but.
So where are we at? What do we need to do? What do we
Well, I
need?
have a motion and a second.
You got an amendment too. You got a second.
For the welding?
Yeah, that was in the
For
minute.
CTE.
I think Jason seconded it.
Yeah.
So I have a motion, or a motion for amendment to let the director bring the CTE kids, how many, 5? What do you,
Clarification, those career technical students that are pursuing industry certification.
Yes.
Yeah,
If I could put words in your mouth.
yes, sir, you're right. Got industry certification that need lab work, need hands-on work within our facilities.
The protocol we developed in-house is fine with you using all COVID-19, the usual.
all right, I have an amendment and I have a second. What, Mr. Ganger?
What did Dr. Flannery just say? It's already,
We put a protocol or a lab safety plan in place for when the infection rates get back down where we can start using it.
okay.
Didn't expect it to happen tonight.
So we have a plan in place already to do this, but it's with lower numbers.
When we got back down to the yellow zone and wanted to start pulling in 6-year-olds and 18-year-olds.
Okay.
Start moving toward the middle.
But this amendment would do it now.
We could immediately start letting CTE teachers
Okay.
with industry concentrators, what they call career technical concentrators, come in on an immediate basis if the board lets that happen.
Is that, you understand, Mitch, what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Mhm.
So you're saying your motion will be going now?
Yeah, it's
Instead
kind
of
of
being,
with the.
instead of waiting till the yellow zone, go ahead and start them in the red zone.
Yeah, we're starting football practice in the red zone.
We're not anticipating running bus service, these students providing their own transportation.
That's fine.
Just want to make sure everybody knows that passes.
Okay, I have a motion as amended. I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote on the amendment.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger,
Yes.
Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger,
Aye.
Mr. Hammond,
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye. Okay. Now, the motion is to, what is our motion? Has anybody, Mr. Ganger, repeat your motion. Are you saying,
The motion coming from the committee is to,
to let football start?
to
at
move
the
forward
regular
with fall sports to compete at the middle school and high school level,
and the regular schedule,
as scheduled,
as
yes.
scheduled. Do I have a second?
No, that,
Well,
That's already,
That's,
we've already done that, we just need it to be
As amended.
as amended.
all right, as amended. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Buchanan?
No.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
No.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
No.
Mr. Meredith?
yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye. Motion passes.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right. All the committee that you have,
Yes.
what's next?
Facilities?
Facilities committee.
Pull that up.
Facilities Committee met July 20th. Large majority of you all were here. I just need a approval on the report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the report. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye. Okay, Mr. Day.
That concludes. Report.
You don't have nothing on the report?
I got something to ask, if
Okay.
you don't mind. Lamar PTO bought 2 basketball goals. They need maintenance department to put them up. Could you see to that, that'll be done quickly? Dr. Planner?
We'll get running.
The holes are dug and have been dug for months.
How about the bats?
They're still there.
The company has commenced their work.
Don't have it. Okay. All right. Finance, Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We just met at 3:30 this afternoon, so I'll be most happy to read the report to you. It should be in your box there if you'd like to read along. I only have one copy. Finance Committee met on Tuesday, August 4, 2020 at 3:30 p.m. at the Washington County Department of Education Central Office. Those present for the meeting were Chairman Philip McLean, committee members Mary Beth Dillinger, Annette Buchanan, Mitch Meredith, Chad Fleener, Director of Schools Dr. Bill Flannery, and Chief Financial Officer Brad Hale. Is that a new title? Chief Financial Officer?
Yes. Got one, Bob.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
You like the sound of it.
The committee considered the preliminary unaudited general fund financial statement for the month of June, and the committee recommends approval. The committee considered the preliminary unaudited federal fund financial statement for the month of June 2020, and the committee recommends approval. The committee discussed updating policy number 5.6101 to set a compensation amount of $33 per hour for teachers that are required to perform additional duties such as curriculum design or attend professional development outside the normal 200-day annual teacher contract. The committee recommends approval. The committee considered a request to purchase 6 system vehicles. This is budgeted in the fiscal year 21 general fund budget. The committee recommends approval. The Director of Schools requested that existing WCDE teachers who act as a substitute through the virtual classroom for another WCDE teacher be paid at the substitute teacher rate of $70 per day due to the virtual classroom regular substitute teachers are not able to fill this role. The criteria for this recommendation is as follows. Daily rate of pay equivalent to sub-pay, that being $70, subject to approval by the principal of the building. Preference to be given to teachers in the same grade or subject. Preference to be given to teachers in the same school. Committee recommends approval, and I know you'll have questions on that, and we'll answer them afterwards. Mr. Chairman, that completes the report, and I request approval.
Okay, have a second.
Second.
Roll call vote on the report.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger,
Yes.
Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger,
Aye.
Mr. Hammond,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Meredith,
Yes.
Mr. Irvin.
Aye. Okay.
Carried.
Motion carried.
Thank you, sir. Committee considered the general fund financial statement for the month of June 2020, and the committee moves for approval.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
That was general fund.
Yes, ma'am.
Disappear on me. Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger,
Yes.
Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger,
Aye.
Mr. Hammond,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Meredith,
Yes.
Mr. Irvin.
Aye. Motion passes. Mr. Blaine?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee considered the federal fund financial statement for the month of June 2020, and the committee moves for approval.
Second.
I have a second.
Yes, sir.
Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger,
Yes.
Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger,
Aye.
Mr. Hammond,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Meredith,
Yes.
Mr. Irvin.
Aye. Motion passes. Mr. Blaine?
Thank you, sir. This next one, let me explain it just a little bit first. It's a little unusual for a policy change to come out of finance, but this was brought to us to act on it so that it can be brought to the full board tonight, because it's something that the auditors recommended to our chief financial officer that it needed to be attended to, if you will, please. The committee discussed updating policy number 5.6101 to set a compensation amount of $33 per hour for teachers that are required to perform additional duties such as curriculum design or attend professional development outside of the normal 200-day annual teacher contract. The committee moves for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussions?
Questions? Bring them on.
Dr. Flannery, you can give us an example of this, or how this would work?
Okay, let's say that a second grade teacher tested positive and was actually sick and had to go home for 10 days and couldn't interact with their students, her students, his students online for 8 or 10 days. We really are not in a position to use a substitute teacher. So this would.
Are we on the same?
No, they're talking about the $33 an hour. He's asking about the different one.
This is the policy change.
Right.
This is the policy change, 5 points.
Please forgive me, I'm old and I don't know.
It's okay.
If we have, for instance, a curriculum update from the State Board of Education, and we need to work on it in June or July when school is out, if you bring in a professional educator for those type of services, professionals ought to be paid for their professional services. This would allow us to do so.
This would not apply to 12-month employees. It would only be to folks that have got to come in time that's outside of their normal 200-day contract.
Yeah, there's no double dipping.
So you're saying this is for one of our people to teach professional development?
No.
Let's say the state instituted new math standards, which they do frequently, and we need to have staff development for these people, or we need to have someone come in and master so they can re-deliver to other math teachers. And it has to be done during off time, outside of contract hours. This would be an opportunity pay these people for those services.
You're paying the teachers to come to do.
Outside of the contract, nobody gets paid for
This has been going on for years, and it's never been identified or documented in policy of any kind. And the auditors have suggested that we identify in policy because it's saying what we're already doing. And apparently it started out with grant money.
But it says it's updating a policy.
Yes.
So what did it read?
This section was not in it. The green section was not in it. That's the update. The rest of the policy remains the same. This is just adding that paragraph to the policy.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Hale, we've been doing this. Do you have a dollar amount attributed to what this policy, how much money are we talking about here?
I'd have to give you off the top of my head. I mean, like we said earlier, we didn't have a detailed list of this. I believe you asked to bring that, to figure that, and bring that back at a later date in Finance Committee is what I think you asked me to do. But this is not, this has happened, from what I can gather, it started years ago with maybe some grants that funded maybe part of summer school or some other areas where teachers had to come in outside of that 200 days. So this is not going to be shouldn't be a budget buster by any means because it doesn't happen a great deal. But if I'm going to put a dollar amount on it, and it's always been absorbed into the 71-100-116 line, which is that big teacher salary line.
Can you track it separately as like a supplement?
Yeah, we can track it.
I mean, if we need, I think you need to account for it. You know, what is it costing?
Well, and we can, but we're talking about a dollar amount, probably under 10 or 15,000 a year, if that. It's never been something that's been huge.
Okay.
We have on occasions been pretty flush with cash, like with that race to the top, the first to the top money. That coincided with our brand new team evaluation system. So all of a sudden, we needed to do a bunch of staff development, and we had several $100,000 to pay people. So we had this room full of people all summer long. And if we don't have money to spend, we don't get to do it. So it's kind of predicated on how much cash we've got on hand, and a lot of that, if not most of it, is grant money, special one-time money.
Right.
So this is a vehicle by which the board allows us to spend that for staff development.
Mr. Fleet?
Mr. Chairman, will you amend your motion for bypassing the first reading and approval on the second reading of this policy change?
Sure.
I'll second that.
Well, Ashley?
I just wanted to give you all another example of why this is so important. My math teachers, my teacher leaders, I have a leaders of learning team for my tested teachers, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. It's a teacher from each hospital. Emailed me over the summer and said, we have no idea how to do pacing for remote learning. We have no idea what it's going to look like after extended school closure when it comes to skills, when you're going to have students without 140 days of math instruction. Could we get together and revise our pacing guides and come up with a skills-driven pre-assessment so we will know where to start? I went to the director, I asked for 5 hours for 6 teachers. That's it. $33 an hour. Came up to be, I think, $167.50 or something per teacher. Not a lot. But this allows for that kind of work, essential work that teachers need to design instruction. And it's wonderful professional development because you put educators in the same room where they're talking about their content area. It's better than a lot of going somewhere and just get. They can actually design work and design lessons, which I argue is more beneficial.
Okay, so I have an amendment.
No. He amended his motion,
Just change my motion to read
Change your motion to add this.
first and final reading.
All right. Any more discussion?
I think Mr. McLean said this, but the auditors, when they brought this to my attention, they don't have a problem with this. They just simply wanted it somewhere, whether it's policy or written down where the board had signed off on it. And so that's why it was drawn.
Okay. All right, roll call vote?
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger.
Aye.
Mr. Hammond.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Meredith.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee discussed a request to purchase 6 vehicles. This is budgeted in the FY '21 general fund budget. Committee moves for approval, and that list should be up on the screen here in just a moment for you to
Document 12,
talk about. Document 12.
and then the detail of each vehicle, if you want to dig into the details, is documents 13, 14, and 15. But document 12 gives a summary of the vehicles and the quantities and the expense.
Can everybody read that okay? Because I sure can't.
Is this coming through Gov Deals?
Yes,
State
yes.
contract.
State contract, I mean?
Yeah.
It was brought to our attention that, that second one, that Chevrolet Silverado 1500 four-wheel drive, regular cab, is at $22,340.70, I believe it is, and there was actually an error on that. That's about $4,000 less than what it was supposed to be, and they chose to leave it at $22,000. So that apparently is a pretty good bargain.
You're talking a brand new V8 4x4 truck for $22,340. The state contract price was supposed to be about $26,000, but the dealership that has a state contract posted it wrong, but they, in dealing with Mr. Roberts, said they're going to honor that price, so that is an unbelievable deal considering I think the sticker's about $36,000.
And we've got $172,840 actually in the budget for this, so we've got a $4,200 balance remaining in that category.
Mr. Flynn?
I mean, my personal preference, so, would be to wait until we see what the other vehicles that are going home and how many miles they have on them and what this is replacing. I mean, I don't feel comfortable just buying these 6 vehicles just without knowing what they, replacing, or they're replacing somebody, new person.
I can give you that. I can give you that if you'd like that. Mr. Roberts, this is what he gave me. One of the high-risk cargo vans, that's going to go to the tech department. The van that it's replacing has over 200,000 miles on it, which will either be sold or they may keep it as a spare because they're down after the vehicle's one goes down.
You know the model of that, or what year?
It is, if I can read his writing.
I have that same problem.
It says, and my writing's worse than his, so I'm not saying, but it seems like it's an 02, if I'm reading this correct.
Well,
It's
on the
technically
stick-
in number 35, so on the inventory list, it's technically number 35.
You said it's a what, you thought 02?
02 is what I believe it is. He's got 10 02 and 02 that's when it was purchased, but
What about the other one?
the other van that's on here is it replaces the food service. It's van number 39, and it seems like this is an 05 model with 324,000 miles on it. And that'll be the van that is replacing out of food service. So Tech's getting one, food service getting one. The 3500, which is going to be a dump truck, is replacing one that was sold 2 years ago, and it's evidently put the system at a disadvantage not having a truck for gravel and dirt. And so this is replacing a truck they had to get rid of 2 years ago. The 1500s, they're replacing one in maintenance. It's vehicle number 17, which appears to be an 05 model with 193,000 miles on it. There is another one that's a support supervisor. It's mechanic. His truck's going down to a mechanic that doesn't have a vehicle. So that's going to be his support supervisor, I believe, that's the one in, I'm thinking that's transportation, but this sheet doesn't tell me. Might be Mr. Archer. Is it Mr. Archer that's a supervisor under Tony? Okay, lead mechanic, because this one's going to a mechanic that doesn't currently have a vehicle. And then the last Silverado 1500 is going to a mechanic, and the existing truck's going to field maintenance to Eddie Teague's crew that were there missing one. And that's what Mr. Roberts has gave me, as far as those 6 vehicles.
How many miles that lasting him on?
He did not list that, I'd have to find that out, Jerry, I'm not sure on that.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. I'm purchasing the vehicles. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Meredith?
It's in the budget, right? Yes.
And Mr. Irvin?
No. Motion passes.
Thank you, sir. The Director of Schools requested that existing Washington County Department of Education teachers who act as a substitute through the virtual classroom for another Washington County Department of Education teacher be paid at the substitute rate of $70 per day due to the virtual classroom regular substitute teachers are not able to fill this role. The criteria for this recommendation is as follows. Daily rate of pay equivalent to subpay, that being $70. Subject to approval by the building principal. Preference be given to teachers in the same grade and/or subject. Preference be given to teachers in the same school. Based on the director's recommendation, the committee moves for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Dr. Flannery, you better explain this then.
Yeah.
Again?
Once again,
Even, let's say that a second grade teacher tested positive and could not work, we can't really use a typical sub, we would need a licensed teacher in that subject that Robert's wasn't. And rather than approach a teacher and say, could you please pick up this other teacher's slack for 5 or 6 or 8 days, for nothing, we're asking for the board's authorization to give them $70 a day for the time that they would fill in. If it goes to 20 days, we don't have any choice. We have to put a licensed teacher in there, no matter what, an interim teacher. So, but the typical downtime for someone that's infected is 10 days. So that's what we're working on. Yes, sir.
I understand exactly, from K through 4, exactly how it's gonna work. Anything 5 through 12, I don't know how you're gonna get them in the same school when they team teach. You may get them in a different grade, but you won't get them in the same grade. You sure won't get them in the same subject, or that won't be their normal subject they're teaching. You sure won't be able to get them in the same school. I know we're all starting on day 2, so we're on the second step. But here before long, there's gonna be teachers that are gonna be way ahead, like the ones you showed, that may feel more comfortable with Google Classroom, and I can't think of your other Canvas. You're gonna have some that are gonna be lagging behind. Nothing against those people, but there's no way, to me, I don't see how, I guess you hope that the one that's above, the one that's ahead is the one that gets sick. I just don't understand. I can't understand this.
What is your alternative if this doesn't, you have to have someone there.
I don't even understand the way it's wrote up, and I just don't, and even, Dr. Flannery, 5th through 12th, I don't see how you're gonna make any of those last two, especially when some schools may only have one fifth grade teacher.
Hey, Keith, before Ashley,
Yeah.
well, but I've got a question that she can answer too. You wanna answer?
Go ahead and ask
Oh.
yours.
When you, I understand that if some other teacher has to pick up, you know, a class that's not her class, and she's got a lot of work, extra work to do, talking to parents, that sort of thing. But how does, I mean, I heard earlier that, you know, I can train 55 as easy as I can train 10. Okay, so in terms of the virtual presentation, and then we heard about Canvas will do the grading. So I'm really trying to get my head around how this really is going to take up that much more time for these teachers who are in place that are filling in for in lieu of a substitute. I mean, yeah, does that make
I
sense?
can speak to the hospital. In essence, we're adding 3 more classes on a teacher. So let's say I'm an English teacher and someone in my department, I have 3 other English teachers teaching English 10. One of them gets sick with COVID. They already have stuff built in there.
Well, it doesn't have
But
to be
I
sick
have-
with COVID, they could be sick with anything.
That's true.
I mean, in
Kid
fact,
is unable to
if they've
work.
been exposed to COVID, they could teach from home, really.
Again,
But-
that's a stipulation.
Pardon?
This is actually diagnosed and cannot work because of ill.
Yeah, I mean, if you're physically ill, you can't work, but if you've got it, you may be asymptomatic and you feel fine, so I don't know.
In normal work conditions, let's say I'm the one who gets sick with face-to-face instruction, I'm still responsible for creating emergency lesson plans, all of my lesson plans for when I'm sick. If I do not have those available, then another teacher might come in and say, hey, Ashley's class is going to read this story and do these questions. A sub is going to go in there and monitor and collect the work and do all of those things. In remote learning, we can't put a sub in that classroom. They do not have the Canvas training, nor do they have the content knowledge to answer any of those questions. I would definitely not be comfortable subbing in a chemistry classroom, and I'm a certified educator. I don't know the content. And so we cannot just add those kids to that teacher because we have class size laws. And we did not get a waiver for maximum class size, even in virtual setting.
Did we
The State
ask?
Board of
Yes,
Education, we
That
did.
term was down for.
Seriously,
The
Yes.
really?
State Board literally voted against Washington County's request for a waiver of that law.
And it's on the State Board's website. That's
Okay.
how we discovered what got approved and what didn't. We had to go on there and look at their agenda, and it's on there. They denied it.
Okay.
So we can't add my class to, let's say, Julie Rastel's class, and she's gonna support my kids. That's illegal. So how are we gonna support those students when I'm unable, because, you know, I'm in the hospital or whatever, to take care of my kids? Well, Julie is gonna pick that up at the end of the school day, and she's still gonna have to go in. And although Canvas will grade multiple choice, as an English teacher, I've got a lot of writing. Students need to be able to write to go to college. And she's gonna have to import her own assignments into my class because they might run out of material, correct? And so, under normal conditions, Julie might bring a packet of stuff in there and set it down. But now we're asking Julie to support, I don't know, I might have 35 kids in each of my classes, some of my high schools do. We're talking about 100+ kids a day. That's not fair to any teacher.
And
So
she's
who's gonna
doing this
support those
after
kids?
the school day.
Yeah,
She's doing her own class stuff, all that, and then she's taking this responsibility on after
yes,
hours.
yes.
It's
And
well
teachers-
worth the
Why would we ask
$70
somebody
a
to do that?
day. It's well worth
Why would
that.
we ask somebody to do that?
Because somebody's gonna support those kids, and we do not have a sub who can go in and do remote learning. This is what's created now in this new environment. Normally, a sub would come in face-to-face and handle those kids during the day and do what they could to support our students.
You can't get somebody
I
off
agree
the street,
wholeheartedly,
Mr.
but
Day.
like your French teacher,
Mr. Day.
10 days.
Mr. Gillis would have to probably do it on the other side of the county. We have a French teacher on each side.
Off the street.
We already pay them a fortune for you, Mary.
I just don't see, I mean, maybe I'm just not seeing the paint. I don't understand, especially when they're supposed to be online, I guess, a certain time or whatever during the day, and this teacher's out. I don't understand how she's gonna juggle her schedule, and then all of a sudden at 3 o'clock, that her other class is gonna start coming online and doing things online.
If I were in that situation, what I would do is I'm videoing my lessons throughout the day, correct? If I'm doing Google Meets, maybe not every day, because that's a lot to ask for a teacher. To live stream instruction every period, every day. You got 5 periods in a high school. So it might be that they're live streaming on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm gonna record that, and then I'm gonna upload what I did, instruction, so that those kids can watch it. And then I might come on at 3:30 to 4, 3:30 to 4:30. If I'm a math teacher, virtual hours. What can I do to support you? Hey, I'm gonna give you feedback on your Canvas assignments. So the teacher may not be creating new instruction for this other class. They're gonna be importing what they're already doing with their kids, because the standards are still the same. If I'm teaching English 10 at Daniel Boone, they're teaching the same standards at
They may
David
be in
Crockett.
different places, correct?
Yes, they could be, but the teacher, if that other class is behind my class, I can go in
That's easy,
and
yeah.
import my modules from before. And so we might have to make a little bit of an adjustment, but we can't ask teachers to do that for free, and students have to be supported.
We're gonna ask teachers to do this anyway. I'm just asking that you let me pay.
I'm following you a little bit better now, but I guess my question is, so are we asking the teachers to work overtime?
No, they don't necessarily have to do that. I mean, French teacher Crockett goes down, we just let Tommy Gillis just let all those kids do it at the same time.
But I thought she just said we couldn't
Yeah, we
crowd classroom.
Yeah, we can do that. We just don't move those kids at Crockett in our school system to another teacher. We can do about what we want to 6 or 8 days. It gets up to a point where we get in trouble. No. And we've done that before. We actually had a teacher go down at Crockett, French teacher at Crockett, and we had to let Tommy Gillis teach the whole semester that way. Never happened.
It was through Tele, the video.
So now I'm confused. I thought I understood. So if I'm an English teacher, all right, and Jason's another one. Jason goes down, I take over his class.
All right, what we got?
English wasn't the strong suit, gang.
They can't even spell English.
He goes down, I take over his class, I can just share what I've been sharing with my own class.
Sure,
And so that really doesn't change anything I've been doing, does it?
I could. I mean, you will have to do the work necessary to take on those extra kids, the evaluation of the work that they've done. I mean, there's additional work.
I think what
And you're
Dr.
not
Flannery
only doing a group lesson together, so, and we have to do the same thing in the K-8 world as in high school. You're also making contact with these students and following up with them individually. So kind of like a caseload, you're adding to that teacher's caseload. Yes, I could teach virtually 100 kids at the same time, but now I've got to reach out to them, and especially if you're going to have a long term. So that's that extra responsibility for that teacher to be able to reach out to an extra class, an extra set of parents as well. So it's not just the teaching aspect, especially if it's long term. They're really going to have to keep that close connection, and that's, everything that we've been sharing with our teachers. This virtual learning is going to be dependent on parent engagement and those connections. So that's where we need that support.
So, but we're not gonna be teaching them 6 hours a day, right? It could be one class and then they're watching it, a recording, or,
Could be.
so can they not take those extra hours and take care of the rest of those kids since we're paying them for the whole day?
You're talking about the teacher?
Yeah.
The teacher, like, let's say that you're at Daniel Boone or David Crockett High School and you're the construction teacher. You're gonna have construction 1 and construction 2 in a different, like, 3rd period certification class. You already have 3 preps. And so now you're taking on somebody else's preps. So let's say Jerry Brewer's preps on the other side of the county. There's not enough hours in 6.5 to do all of that. Now, if you do a live Google Meet and you're showing them how to lay brick, if you're Mark Good, then Jerry Brewer's kids could log on and watch you do it. They could. You're not the teacher of record, like Dr. Flannery said, they could log in and watch it. But what if they're not doing the same thing, exactly like Chad was saying? Those teachers are taking on, at the high school, I don't know, I've had almost 135 kids at 4 classes a semester, and now I'm gonna have to take on maybe 100 more.
I just don't know why anybody would want that responsibility. I know they wanna help out their, fellow teacher, but like you just said, I mean, all of a sudden, they're working at 5 o'clock tonight. Or some of those second night school, they're at school year, but they're already doing that for their 100. You had another 100.
That's the heart of a teacher though. If I have someone in my department go down, let's say Julie Russell, I'm gonna do it anyway. And
That's
so
what
now
I'm
you're
saying.
paying them to do it.
They're
A little
they're
bit.
gonna
You're
do
paying
it.
them a little bit.
They're gonna do it, Mr. Fleener, but this pays them for doing that, and it shows them that we appreciate them, because they're gonna do it. But when they put in that many hours, that's the least we can do.
Mr. McLean?
My question is for Chief Financial Officer,
Well, I can say on that.
Mr. Hale.
CFO.
Could you tell us where this money is going to come from to pay these folks, and how much elbow room you think you got in that category?
Yeah, it should be fully funded out of the existing substitute line, because we're not gonna be paying substitute teachers $70 a day, because we can't use them.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Shouldn't be any effect on the budget, and I would imagine that we typically will be using have less of these situations than we normally would have had substitutes to begin with. But it should, from that aspect, it should be budgeted.
Thank you.
Mr. Fleener?
Let me ask another question, just popped into my head, I know it surprised everybody. But how come, a lot of teachers have to get a doctor's appointment, have to be out half a day to go to the doctor's appointment, they get sick. Now with this virtual learning, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I assume they still go to the doctor's appointment, they just, they won't have to take a half day. Is that?
Because they recorded their lesson that
My
morning.
expectation is that they put in a full day under the MOU, and they signed the contract with me to provide professional services, and if they have to take off to go to the doctor, they're gonna have to do it. And some things just don't change.
But
We don't have any protocol in place for comp time. I haven't said, okay, you get to work from 3 in the afternoon to 9 o'clock at night. I told them, and my expectation is that they show up for regular school time. And start putting in something complicated, no, not willing to do it. But you're right, we will need a substitute teacher.
Chad, it's like doing your lesson plans. If I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow night I'm gonna miss, I'm still gonna have to do my lesson plans and have what we call sub-plans ready and on my desk with my packets and my whatever work. I mean, it's the same thing.
The board does have a policy that allows for telework. I guess about what that is. And, I'm going to allow that, a medical doctor.
Where we at? Mr. Chairman, somebody.
I do have one more question. I thought in the committee meeting, we said 100, not 70. Was it?
That was retired. But see, they can't get retired teachers because they haven't been trained.
They're not
Yeah,
trained
but
on
I
all
thought we
this
were taking
program.
the $100 from them, not the 70.
No,
That was
see,
my question.
no.
Okay,
Call for the
I
question.
have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger? Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Urban?
Okay, motion passes, Mr. McLean.
Completes my report, sir. Thank you and good night.
Mr. Chairman, while we're in that, can I ask the budget question?
Okay.
I think it was that's right here on my computer. So, looking at this, it looks like, help me if I'm wrong,
Document 3, Elliot.
we have, on 1-1, Brad, CFO, am I reading that right? We're at 102%
For the year.
for the year.
Number 11?
Number 3.
3.
So sales tax wise, we're doing really well.
We were pleasantly surprised with the sales tax results. In talking with our county finance director, Mr. Meredith, our assumption is that sales tax just kind of went to some other buckets. We suspect grocery stores produced higher sales tax on line sales. I know with my son, he works at Food City, and the one in Grace, they told him that the month of April was their most profitable month on record they had. So pleasantly surprised. You can see for the month of June, we exceeded last June by $23,584. And then in the month of May, which is March's numbers, we were actually only down 28,000 from the prior year. Now, that's not to say it didn't have some effects. Maybe we would have been up by 50,000 had COVID not have hit us. But as far as the dollar amount, we're coming in for the year at over 16 million, where we only had about 15.6 budgeted. So we're coming in around 300,000 better than budget on sales tax, which certainly will help our fund balance. Now we're slightly under on property tax. We had talked in finance committee about the real dollar amount being about 237,000 less on property tax, but since then, I refreshed my memory, there was an audit adjustment made by the state auditors. There was a correction, and I've looked at this since finance committee, of about $156,000. So that means that we weren't 230 off, but we are about 85,000 off on property tax. About 25 of that probably attributed to the negative ADA split. So that brings us to around 50 off. So still off, but that gap's getting closer. You know, sales tax was strong all year. You can see, Jason, coming in, if you look at the bottom, kind of halfway down the page, line 32 of that document you're looking at. Yeah. You can see starting last July, we were 66,000 better. Then coming forward, 52,000, 79,000, 70,000 better. So the first 4 months of the year, we're $250,000 better than the 4 months of the previous year. So sales tax, the only months were March and May that we were even less, and it wasn't a tremendous amount less than the prior year. So sales tax has been really strong, and we were holding our breath for June because June was April's numbers, and we had no idea what it was going to look like. We're very thankful it came in as it did on that state.
Does that, Dr. Flannery, does that probably put us in position to spend our CTE money now?
I've already authorized the first $50,000, so we'll keep watching sales tax and we'll keep spending it.
Good, thank you.
So we have not spent that money that we appropriated for the CTE?
Haven't started. We always knew it'd be a lengthy process because a lot of that has to be bid. So it'll take about all school year.
Chad, any item, single item, 10,000 or above, still has to come back to the board for approval. It has to be bid unless we can get it through a state contract. We do need to remember the revenue was cut though, what we had budgeted to the tune of about $660,000. When we did our budget, we thought we were going to get $660,000 more in revenue than we're really going to get now, and that's from cuts from the state. Yeah. So.
Those things too, those ladies and some of those are probably made in Asia that would not be manufactured until we go with them, and then we'll have to deal with the state department to get them in contract.
What about buying some of those as used? I mean, we just talked about that.
We can.
I mean, there's a lot of machine shops that went out of business, you know what I'm saying?
We absolutely got used to it, that's legal, good stuff.
But I will say too, part of the finance committee, those of you that hadn't looked, definitely look at the dietary. They had a heck of a year. And with their needs as far as equipment, sounds like they've got some money to spend there. I mean, if they wanted to on their
fund balance right now is the highest it's ever been by far since I've been here. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with the revenues, I guess, going into this term of virtual school. But right now, they have a PowerPoint slide deck. If the board wants to see it, we can pull it up. Ellie can pull it up. That's your all's decision if you want to see that. But their fund balance is roughly around 1.4 million right now. Their revenues for May and June spiked because of the food delivery. That became so big and they delivered so many meals. They got more reimbursements for that. So had an unexpected spike in the revenue there.
And they're still putting it out, and it's Department of Ag that's gonna fund it.
That would be a good time to make some kitchen improvements.
I mean, we definitely need to talk about that in the coming months whenever we see the numbers, but I really think that they could self-support some of their own equipment, and probably should. And maybe the time to do it where there's not kids, in the schools. So,
That's a good idea, Jay.
That's what is better.
write that down, Jennifer,
Is that all you have, Mr.?
That's all I have, sir.
Okay.
Chad
What's
finally had a
next?
good idea. August 3rd.
My screen keeps, I've lost everything. What's next here?
The review and consideration of policies.
Review of board, review of consideration of policies. Is that you, Ashley?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so you have one policy in front of you, the reporting child abuse. When the General Assembly met in June, they made significant changes to the child abuse reporting laws. This policy aligns with those significant changes. Those changes include school personnel must not provide any information relevant to suspected child abuse or child sexual abuse to the child's parent or guardian, and must refer any questions from the parent or guardian to the investigating law enforcement agency and DCS. Under this new law, we are not allowed to tell parents about suspected child abuse, period. Law enforcement and DCS will do that. Each school is now required to designate a child abuse coordinator and an alternate who will serve as a liaison between the school, the department, and law enforcement, assist school personnel with child abuse reporting, receive training on mandatory reporting, have access to a private area and a phone to report suspected child abuse, assist law enforcement and the Department of Children's Services by sharing available information regarding suspected child abuse and maintaining the confidentiality and all confidential files. School personnel are responsible for reporting suspected child abuse to the child abuse coordinator, DCS, and law enforcement. Reporting only to the child abuse coordinator does not fulfill the child abuse reporting requirements under this law. So if I suspect child abuse, I now have to report to 3 locations. I will go to my child abuse coordinator first, who will assist me with contacting law enforcement and DCS and filling out required paperwork. Staff recommends waiving this on first reading and passing on second to be compliant with this new child abuse reporting law.
I move for approval on first and final reading.
Second.
Second and final reading.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger? Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye. Okay, Mr. Flynn?
I've got a question, and I'd actually like to bring it up tonight. Policy 5.1041. It's the new policy that we adopted for the HR director. And Dr. Flannery has still got the HR, it's not the director, it's still open. But he's named the previous job duties all but the HR part, as he's already named the candidate. I would just assume just go ahead and suspend this policy and add that to that job description that he's already laid forth.
Can you give me another week or so, because I'm just about got that process.
You don't want to suspend that policy? I'm saying instead of hiring somebody else, I'd rather just suspend the policy.
I'm not a candidate, just about ready to go. But, we'll do what the board wants to do.
I'm not sure what he's asking, but would that affect what you're doing?
But yeah, he's getting ready to hire somebody, I'm getting ready to do away with that job. And add to it.
I think we've got the position budgeted and we've got the process just about at its conclusion.
I'm in favor of leaving it alone. Let Mr. Flannery do what he's doing. That's what we wanted a month ago, or 2
What
months ago.
Chad's saying is if you're,
He wants to do away with
they're
it.
doing it already anyway, why would we pay somebody another 100,000 or whatever it is?
Well, it's already in the budget.
Well, it don't matter, we can use it somewhere else, if we don't need it. If we're handling it without him and we don't really need it, right?
Well, we needed it 2 months ago.
Did we?
We didn't have it.
We had it. We told Mr. Flannery to do it, so.
I would think we all, it seemed to me, y'all probably don't want to hear what I got to say, but it seemed to me when we passed that policy that there was a consensus in this room that we should move toward a professional HR person in that position. And that's what the policy did. And my recommendation would be to let it stand for the time being. Yeah. If you do something different, that's opposite of what you did a couple of months ago.
Why, this board's been notorious for that. I mean,
Amen.
I'm definitely not, but I just thought we could save us a person, but, you know, so much money for another person.
I've
Well, I didn't
seen,
think
I've seen for
our-
years.
That was not, the money wasn't gonna change.
And we've always had, 3 people in that department.
Yeah, but one of them was a temporary job at one time. That's what I was told. You know, Roger Jackson wanted a job for 6 months, they opened the job up, let him do it for 6 months, and now it's carried on from now on. And I'm wanting to do away with that. I don't know why we would ever keep a temporary job that we just keep on, and that's what, I know the HR, this policy was opening the door for, but I just seem to do away with it and do away with that job.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number one, Roger Jackson came in and replaced Roy Gillis, who had fully retired. So they didn't create a job, he came in and stepped in behind Roy Gillis, okay? Roy Gillis had been around here for 35, 40 years, I guess. But I'd simply want to remind you that I asked the question and asked the attorney in Nashville, what does the system need to do to stay out of trouble with lawsuits? 3 different lawyers said, hire a professional human resource person. And that's what this policy a couple of months ago that you all brought forward did. It said, let's hire a professional HR person. And I applaud everybody that voted for it, because I totally agree with that. And 3 lawyers totally agreed with that. And that's all I have to say, sir.
Mr. Hammonds has got something.
Wouldn't it be better to cut the position that was supposed to be temporary than the qualifications for a key position? Am I missing something there? I would think your human resources is needed, definitely. But whatever position that was created for the prior part-time director or Mr. Jackson's completing his retirement, that's the one that we should be honing in on. Making sure that that's not still in the budget. Just my 2 cents, thanks.
I agree with you.
I think that's a good point, David, but
Right.
what is that position?
You know what? Almost 10 years on the board, I still don't know.
Well, according to Mr. McLean, there was somebody had it before, so I don't know if it's ever temporary.
I thought he was part-time, he'd already retired and done that, right? I don't know.
So do we need to reevaluate?
Do we
what-
need a
who does
special
what?
projects coordinator? Do we need one?
I thought he was licensure and
That's what
special
all those
projects.
people back there.
Do we do? We do?
All I know is I have never created a position.
I know. I agree.
Every position that we've hired was the board.
Right.
So,
I get
so
that.
is there,
Before me, I don't know.
is there one of those, Dr. Flannery, that we don't necessarily need?
You know, right here today, HR director's not a big deal. Come March, April, and May, it's gonna be all we can do if we're under 3 people. That's the hot season. Teacher hire.
But don't the principals hire their own teachers?
The entire process is coordinated by the HR department. They are part of the process, they do recommendation, but all of the, looking for a word here, they coordinating logistics or not, or change the licensing work and insurance, everything.
I just knew you hadn't filled that job. I knew that we pretty much created this position to do that job. And that's the reason why I thought, well, you know, I know next month you're gonna ask us $700,000 where we're gonna get it from. And, I mean, that's the reason I've been looking at, like I said, brought up those vehicles, the money we paid, you know, paying for people driving home. And here's another position, you know, 60, 70,000, whatever it may be. You know, I'm just saying, I I thought we could save some money there, especially when you're not actually firing somebody. They've already got a job, you're just not rehiring it. I mean, now's the time, because we're in attrition. I'm gonna make that motion. I'm gonna make a motion, we do away with, and suspend policy 5.1041. 5.1041. And do away with that line item for the extra person in the HR department at this time. Does that make sense, Dr. Planner?
So we're not gonna have an HR person, is that what you're saying?
They'll be, they're going, the job that's there now will be, it'll be transferred over to, I guess I need to make that part of my motion, I'm sorry. 5.1041, suspend that policy, and those job description will go to the person that's in HR at that moment, at this moment. The other position, correct.
Biggest mistake.
I got to say this. We got one to return and we're not replacing. I feel like our staff needs another hand.
I didn't hear it.
Is that not what is that what you're saying, Chad? That we're not replacing this other person?
I'm just saying for at this time, yes, that's exactly what I'm
Did
saying.
he get a second?
I second it.
Okay.
Who is, so,
Susan's retired.
Right, but I was told Susan and Jared handled that job.
Yeah.
So who's helping Jared now? Now he says 3 people. Is there 3 people or 2
Jerry's
people?
handling it all by himself with the assistance of Ed Boone.
Okay, so
I feel like we need to hire.
it's the same as it was,
No,
2 people.
it's the same, but you put more work on another person. Annette.
I'd like to table this motion until Dr. Flannery.
He's getting ready to hire
completes.
somebody.
Yeah.
That's all bad thing.
He's been working awful hard to find somebody.
I would prefer to eliminate the special projects position that was on temporarily.
I'd like to table this.
She made a motion to table.
Well,
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to table. I can't see how we can table with Mr. Flannery needing to do something.
I tell you what, if you table this motion, I'll just leave it alone.
Do we bring it back off the
Bring
table?
it off the table, or in 30 days anyway. I'm not gonna try to do an end run around the school board. That's not a good idea. We shouldn't have
We go one way 2 months ago, now we go the other way now. I'm straighten up here. I'm sorry, but
You ain't never
I
changed
feel
your
like-
mind, have you?
Huh?
You ever changed your mind before?
Yeah, I've changed my mind and I voted the way I've changed my mind. But I know, I understand what he's trying to replace somebody.
Do it.
I'll
Withdraw.
I'll take my motion back.
I'll take my second back.
So the table's off the,
You can always add it back if it's too much stress, if they can't handle it.
well,
Dr. Flannery always come back and say, guys, I
Yeah.
gotta have this.
He searched all summer long for somebody and he's got somebody now and we're reversing it. And I mean,
Gee.
he's worked to find somebody and he's finally found somebody. What we wanted, an HR person to help us stay out of lawsuits. So,
That's just my
Which
personal
that's-
opinion.
that's-
There's 9 of them on here.
yeah.
So I'm not discarding yours. I wish you would discard mine. I mean, I know sometimes it don't matter, but that's fine. I mean,
I don't understand why we went one way and now we went the other way but anyway, I'm calling for question.
Did we ever get a second?
Yeah.
I seconded it.
What is the motion then?
That we do away with the HR person?
No, that you suspend,
policy 5.1041. Add that to who's doing the job is now, that's already been filled. And do away with that other job in the HR department.
Everybody get that?
Yeah, but I don't have 5.401.
5.1041. It's in section 5, it's like the third section, or third one down.
Do you have it in front of you?
I did have it.
You care to read it?
5.4041.
You can't throw it up on the screen, can you?
Yeah, click on that. You- Well, you can just roll up right there and that links, it's got policies in it.
Yes, sir.
What we do, when we come to the budget season,
What
some
about
of these
us?
positions, we just carve that up.
Board policy.
Finance will get a piece of it, and the office will get a piece of it, and somebody else will have to do like insurance, and somebody else, it's so good, we just part it out. Whether the income side is $100,000.
Yeah,
You wouldn't want that either.
yeah.
Which
Well, ideally, I mean.
Which one was it,
If
Chad?
we could do that, that's killing people.
5.1,
You know, years ago, we never had a position. and
mine's the
every
third
office
one,
here
it ain't even on there.
Right,
Go to,
Which one?
yeah.
mine's up there towards the top. Third one from top.
I know good well, I can't come in here and ask for $100,000.
TSBA's policy.
Go back up there to BOE
Yeah,
Connect,
you went to the wrong one.
and scroll up right there.
Uh-huh.
Go to dot links, up there, up there. Go down board policy main, click number 5, which is personnel. It's the third one down. Well, fourth one down, I'm sorry.
There it is, human resources.
Yeah.
I scared you wrong.
That's all right. It's all good.
Well, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Everybody ready?
Mhm. I have some bus stops, and I'm gonna bring it up at the round table. They're being told, well, virtually, first thought they would be delivering food, and now they're being told that they will be given responsibilities at the school. What, they're curious what responsibilities.
That's good, I never wanted it.
I didn't ask for what you thought about.
Okay. I'm bringing it to a vote.
Yeah.
Everybody in here?
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger,
No,
Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger,
Aye.
Mr. Hammond,
No.
Mr. McLean,
No.
Mr. Meredith,
Yes.
Mr. Irvin,
No.
Ms. Buchanan.
No.
Fail.
What to do?
Fail.
Hire way up there.
5-4.
Okay,
Go back to BOE, please.
Oh, yes, sorry.
is that all the policy that we have?
Review board self-evaluation.
Yeah.
no, yeah, it was.
Here's our board evaluation. Does everybody have a copy of this, Jennifer?
It's in BOE, yes.
Do we need to have a call meeting to go over this, to the people that's coming to try to save money?
Energy
Yeah, the energy solution.
facilities is gonna go through.
All right,
Mr. McLean is getting ready, you know, the election, keep that in mind, so that's
yeah,
why
that's
he's
what I
here.
know. He's still an official board member till September board meeting, right? Is that
Till
the way-
the last day of August. The new folks that are elected are sworn in, should be the first day of September.
Okay. I would like to have, instead of having the committee, the facilities committee have that meeting, I'd like for it to be a full board meeting. And I would like to go over the self-evaluation, or that night, instead of having the committee.
When's
So-
the meeting?
Well,
And we haven't said it.
we ain't said nothing.
And so I'm gonna ask you, why do you wanna go over it with the old board instead of the new board?
Well, you know, we only have one board member that will not be here.
No, it's not necessarily true.
Well, I agree.
You could have three, you could have three
Brand
brand
new
new.
ones, I understand, I understand.
Your threes
I'm
on
just
your,
trying
you
to
could
get
all be
done with
gone.
this and go home tonight.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean, what's the, I mean, could we go over this at the first, at the first new board meeting? Or somewhere soon thereafter? I mean, I don't really care.
Well, I mean,
Whatever y'all
I'm
do.
just trying to go over with the board members that we have and, you know,
We're
what
not,
we're,
that he set through all of it.
and he said good all.
Well,
Improving
but the
under
purpose of this, the purpose of evaluations is to change future behavior.
Well,
Okay, so.
it may get used for us.
Well, but, and that's my point is, I mean, how is the new board going to implement this? Let's look forward, not backwards. We use this to see where we've been, but what do we need to do different to be better in the future?
I like that, Mitch.
Well,
It's got way of
has everybody looked at this
I haven't seen it till this evening.
until just now?
Yeah, and
I
I
hadn't seen it.
was looking for something
You've not
that kind of
seen it either?
No, I
summarized
hadn't
it for
seen
me.
it.
There he is.
I haven't gotten that far,
There's a-
last page.
Yeah, there's like the greatest concerns and the
Page 6,
Okay,
greatest
that's, yeah.
success.
biggest difference.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna make a comment, and I've just now looked at it, I didn't see it before tonight. But I'm gonna make a general statement here that this board needs some serious team building.
Well, I'll take the blame for that because I'm the chairman. So everything's, I'm probably not the best chairman that this board's ever had, so, you know, I've tried to make everybody get along and keep peace and go on with it, but we're all here for the kids. Do I need a motion for somebody to accept this evaluation?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, Jennifer said we did.
You all
Or
usually
for a
do.
distinction, I think we need it.
Yeah.
Uh,
You all
Well,
usually do
so
report it.
what's the, okay, we've got a now column and the importance column and then the difference. I'm assuming the now is what our survey graded out at.
Ourselves, and then the importance is how much we think is important. Remember, there was 2 sections?
Yeah,
Back
yeah.
out.
And then the difference, the highest difference is what we think we're not doing very good, which is page 6.
Okay,
And page 4 is the tightest, what we thought we were doing really good, I
Okay,
guess is what you
thank
could say.
Jane, give us a short version.
Yeah, there you go.
That's. Go to 5, or if you don't care,
I
sir.
don't care.
There you go. It's a lot easier to see.
Look there. Go up 1. I lied, 4. I can't read the difference. I have to go on campus myself. Ours the ones we're closest as what we think's important and what we think we're doing.
I'm not so much worried about the success as I am the concerns. That's where I'm,
That's page 6.
that's what I'm looking at, because, you know,
That's what we
once the
think.
decision has been made, all board members respect the decision, and board speaks with one voice. All right, important, it's 5.89, and the now is 2.22, and that's 3.67, so that's where we're coming off the worst at, so.
I ain't trying to throw gas on the fire, but that's the same problems that we had last year. I looked it up. And down there at our board retreat down there in Gatlinburg, and I said, don't we need to talk about that? And there was some that laughed, and we moved on. Now we're this year the same
You know,
problem.
it's,
So-
everybody's got their opinion and everybody's gonna vote the way they feel like they need to vote. And now I guess I'm the world's worst because I vote the way I feel like I need to vote.
That's not saying that. It's not saying you should vote the way everybody votes. It's saying when a vote is made,
Yeah, I know.
people run around and talk
Yeah.
about it the other way.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have done this or we shouldn't have done that. That's
Well,
what
I
that's
mean,
saying.
we vote one way and in 2 months we vote another way.
That's not what that's saying.
Well, it's pretty close.
No, it's
because
not.
If we change our mind,
It's not nothing to do with that right there.
well, once a decision's made, 2 months ago, we made a decision.
Keith, but
And
Your
then today, we changed.
I make a motion we adjourn.
I'm not ready to
That's
adjourn.
the rebel motion, that's on it. We have a second, and it's not debatable, no, then we have to read it.
Before round table, I have a question that somebody sent me,
Okay.
okay?
Our parliamentarian spoken.
Roll call vote on adjournment.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger,
No?
Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger,
Sure.
Mr. Hammond,
No, we're already in it.
Mr. McLean,
No.
Mr. Meredith.
I just want to say, I really appreciate what the girls over in the back did if we don't get to round table. Yes.
Mr. Irvin,
No. You did what you.
Did you say Irvin or Buchanan?
yeah, I said Irvin, but I meant, sorry.
No.
Failed.
Okay.
I move for approval of the board evaluation results.
Second.
I like that. I have a motion and a second on the evaluation. I'm not asking for no discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger,
Yes.
Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ganger,
Aye.
Mr. Hammond,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Meredith,
Yes.
Mr. Irvin,
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan.
Yes.
All right, round table. No, WCEA. They don't have nothing?
There's no communication.
Okay. Round table. Mr. Day.
I'll just end with, I got a whole list of stuff. It's too late to talk about. Thank Mr. McLean for his service of many years on the board, and wish him lots of luck and happiness in his future, and he can vacate a little more.
I might want to build a new house. You available?
Might.
Sales tax.
Okay, Mr. Fleener.
I just wanted to say thank you for a good meeting, and thank you, Mr. McLean, for your years of service on the board. And good luck to Todd and Mary Beth on their reelection there 2 days from now. Just want to say thank you to Miss Lula from Daniel Boone High School for her work she's done out there at Daniel Boone. We're sure going to miss her. We're praying for Nick Spurlock and Nate as well from Boone, and just hope that those two boys can continue on their road to recovery. Amazing tonight with what Dr. Keys and Dr. Myers and Miss Hayes has presented us. I mean, it just shows when our back's against the wall, Washington County's got excellent people that can go above and beyond the call of what I thought was possible, which maybe I don't think I know, but I appreciate you all doing what you're doing. The technology staff, I can't imagine what you all have done and continue to have in front of you. I just appreciate what you're all doing. And just what a week to start school in 2020. I guess it's going to be something to remember. So just appreciate you all, and thank you to everybody from,
Gina answering the phone up here and trying to calm people down before they get to speak to the right person, to Dr. Flannery. You know, and I'm not saying, you know, she's the lowest person. I really think we are very, very, very blessed with the workers we have in Washington County. And I mean, really, it's great to see you all in action, so thank you all.
Mr. Ganger?
I'd just like to reiterate something that said, Dr. Flannery, I appreciate you and your staff, and especially the ladies tonight for presentation. We do appreciate it. I know that took a little extra hard work on top of everything else you've had to deal with, so we do appreciate that. And I appreciate all the teachers and staff and even parents and the kids. I mean, we all know it's not ideal, but you know, we're trying to make it work the best we can, and hopefully before long we'll be back to normal. And I mean, I know everybody wants that, but hopefully it gets here soon. That's all I got.
Meredith?
Yeah, since we ended school last year, I've been really kind of concerned about how we would deliver virtual learning this fall when we started. And I'm sure I know we still have a long way to go, but we've got Grace to go with us. I think that was the term somebody threw out. And I'm very encouraged. Actually, I'm kind of blown away at all the work that I didn't know was going on and that you all have accomplished. And I don't think that any system or anybody can question Washington County's efforts to prepare for virtual learning. So thank you all very much, your whole team. Thank you.
Mr. Hammonds?
Yeah, I just want to thank Dr. Flannery and staff and teachers and everyone that played a part in starting school off this year. I know it was just, definitely a strain, and I really appreciate them, and I really appreciate your service on the board and what you've done for the school system and the kids of this county, and I wish you well. And I wish Todd and Mary Beth well in the election. Best wishes to all those candidates.
Mr. Cannon?
I would like to thank Mr. McLean for all the help he gave me when I first came on the board. I did not get any type of orientation. Thank you, Jason. I didn't get any type of orientation when I first came along, and he kind of tried to show me different things, and I really do appreciate that. I want to let the staff and everybody know that it's such an amazing job. I have 2 kids that are on this program, and it's just amazing how they can work circles around me when I'm trying to help them just get connected, and they're like, "Stop, Mom, just let me do it myself," and I'm like, backing up. So I just really appreciate all the work that's going into that, because the things that are going on is just absolutely amazing to me, and I know it's not the ideal situation, but I think we're making the best out of it, and we're all learning every day together, one step at a time.
Okay, I have some bus drivers who are contacting me because they're wanting some clarification. Maybe Dr. Flannery can help. It seems like only drivers at Boones Creek, Boone, Crockett, and Jonesboro Middle will be delivering food. So other bus drivers are wanting to know what responsibilities they will be given at the schools.
They might be delivering food too.
They may be delivering food too.
I hate to use the phrase we're making this up as we go, but the objective is to find real work for everybody.
That's right.
You know, if we ask one to help with some child care, if they're able to do that. If we have asked one to help with maybe grading some papers, just anything the principals need.
Okay.
Well, we're not shut down. Everybody's still getting a paycheck, and we want to give everybody something to help them do.
Okay. Well, some of them are listening.
It's not a satisfying answer, but that's where we are today.
Okay. Well, I did write mine down, Mr. Day.
Yeah, I knew you would.
The beginning of our school year online was not what anyone wanted. Teachers have been frustrated because they didn't feel ready. And we all know they wanted everything to be amazing for their students. And thank you to teachers, administrators, and staff who've gone the extra mile to try to make it work, these ladies included. Also thanks to parents and families who've had to juggle schedules and make compromises. With families and teachers working together, our students can stay on track and appreciate each other even more and hopefully make the best of a bad situation. And congratulations to Board Member Philip McLean for his 16 years of service for the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Flannery and his staff for all the work they've done to get our teachers ready for this virtual training that we're doing. Y'all have just done an outstanding job, and I appreciate it very much. I think back to, if I may reminisce for a moment, and I promise not to be too long-winded. When I first came on the board, I gained a super appreciation for Mr. Rowland and the staff for the patience that they had for me. I was an old meat salesman coming off the road, and as I told a lot of folks, my first association with education was when I was 5 years old. I traveled to school with my mother, who taught 8 grades in a one-room school building. And most of the time, she put me in the math class, first and second grade. I attribute my math skills to some of those days at this time. But I learned a lot about education. I learned a lot about Washington County education. And I think about the county commission, and a lot of times we get turned down for money. But I have to say thank you to the county commission for all that they have done for education in this county. Partly where that comes from is we built Ridgeview, we built Grandview after I came on the board. We did over $10 million of renovations to the 2 high schools. We built 2 new state-of-the-art sports facilities. At one point in those early years, we gave the teachers a $2,000 each raise. Some of you may remember that was here then. I believe Ms. Dillinger was. Our budget in 16 years has gone from $48 million to $73 million this year. That money had to come from somewhere. So my hat's off to the county commission and much of what they have done. I think about technology. When I hear us talk about technology and the money it costs, I remember maybe my first or second year here, I asked Mr. Dykes or somebody how many computers we had. We had 4,000 desktop computers. I was in Nashville that November talking to some folks from some other systems, and I thought, well, I wonder if they're ahead of us or behind us. And this one guy, we were talking about the computers in the classroom. I said, well, how many computers do y'all have in your system? Oh, we've got one in every classroom. Well, how many students have you got? Well, they probably had 1 computer for each 25 students. We had a computer for every 2 students. And I thought that was just phenomenal. I was extremely proud of that in those days. You go from that to the transition we've had in technology, and today we're almost to a 1-to-1 in our school system. It's unbelievable. The money for that had to come from somewhere. The progress that this system has made, not on my behalf, but simply been proud to be a part of a lot of the things that have happened. I mentioned the new schools and the renovations to the high schools. And now we've just opened up another new school and getting ready to break ground on another one. It's fantastic for the kids of this county. It has been an honor to have served this county for 16 years. Thank you and good night.
Okay, Mr. Flannery, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Thank you.
This is my last go around too. We go out with a bang. So, I appreciate being the chairman of the Washington County School Board. This is new to me. I I'll go ahead and apologize on some of the mistakes I've made, but it's been fun, it's been interesting. I appreciate Mr. McLean, because when I have to run again, if I run again, it'll make me 16 years. And I've learned a lot from Mr. McLean. I've learned a lot from directors. I've learned a lot from Nashville and some meetings that I've been to. But Philip, I consider you a friend, and appreciate everything you've done. Thank you all, and I adjourn.